gentlemen, welcome to Ariel Helwani's MMA Show!
Monday, June 17, 2019. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to a big show today. I am feeling all kinds of excited. We've got a lot to discuss with some of the biggest names in mixed martial arts. I just finished doing some NBA coverage, and now I'm here talking to you on the regular Monday show, celebrating my 1-year anniversary at ESPN. Yes, 2 days ago, 1-year anniversary at ESPN. And so I just want to say right off the top, thanks to everyone who followed me here. It's been quite the year. We've done a lot of things, and I have a feeling year 2 is going to be a whole lot better than year 1. And this is a great way to kick off year 2, and I'll get to that in a moment. The UFC was off this weekend, but Bellator was at Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, and what a show that was. Chiasson retired. My partner is no longer an active fighter. Rory McDonald is back and looked really good. Dillon Danis is 2-0. Aaron Pico lost again. Kyoji Horiguchi is now the Bellator and Rizin Bantamweight champion. If you want to get my thoughts on all of that, and I'll sprinkle them out throughout the show, you can go to ESPN.com/MMA right now. I have my random thoughts up there. I go in depth about Chael, about Kyoji, about Danis and Pico, all that and more. And of course, UFC is back this weekend in Greenville, South Carolina, their debut. That's the card headlined by Renato Moicano against Chan Sung Jung. There's also the debut of the Dana White Contender Series show tomorrow on ESPN+, Bellator in London on Saturday as well. No time to waste. There's a lot going on. So let me run down today's lineup, and then we'll get to our first guest of the day. And I am so excited. This interview, by the way, 2 years in the making. I actually have a bit of a bone to pick with my first guest of the day, but we'll get to that in a moment. All right, here is the lineup. 355 will be joined by Jared Cannoneer. Cannoneer is frustrated. He's mad. He's fired up. I'm told he's got a lot to get off his chest. He is having a hard time finding an opponent for his next fight. No one wants to fight him after his 2 wins at 185 over David Branch and Anderson Silva. And so we'll get his thoughts. We'll also talk to Brendan Loughnane, who is returning to the UFC, sort of. He had one shot in the UFC several years ago against Mike Wilkinson, lost that fight, and has had to go out and fight for other promotions. Now he's back. He's a Mancunian, as I do believe they are called. He is one of the prides of Manchester, if you will. Another Manchester fighter had a great weekend, Tyson Fury. Well, he's getting a shot on the Dana White Contender Series show tomorrow. One of the best non-UFC British fighters out there. And so he's getting that big opportunity. He's weighing in right now for that fight. The fight is tomorrow, and then he'll join us at around 3:40. 3:20, we'll talk to Elias Theodorou in his first interview since he was somewhat unceremoniously released from the UFC a month or so ago. We'll talk to Paige Vanzant at 3:05. She's had another surgery on her arm. The photos are just absolutely gruesome. I don't know if you saw them. If you didn't see them, don't bother seeing them. They're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. So we'll get an update from Paige at 3:05. At 2:45, we'll talk to Macy Chiasson. I don't know if you heard this story, but she was involved in a very scary incident around 9 or so days ago. She's in her apartment in Dallas, and a crane falls through the apartment. Someone sadly died. She was slightly injured. She's lost all her possessions. She's back home, I do believe, in New Orleans with her family. She's homeless. A horrible story for one of the best young up-and-coming fighters in the UFC, so we'll get an update from her. Justin Willis, also released recently. Bit of a weird story, so we'll get his take on it all. Is he going to get another shot? Is he going to get Tai Tuivasa? We'll find out. Dillon Danis, before Dustin Poirier, will join us. We'll talk to him about the big win over Max Humphrey on Friday night, 2-0, and we'll also get an update on how his knee is feeling. He told me after the fight that he tore his LCL. We'll talk to Dustin Poirier about the press conference in London late last week, the face-off with Khabib Nurmagomedov, and all that and more. But first, let's not waste any more time. Let us say hello to one of the very best coaches in the game, the head coach over at SBG Ireland, the man who has developed the likes of Conor McGregor and Dillon Danis and James Gallaher and Makwanamir Khani. Now he was just in his corner. The one and only John Kavanagh, back. Wow. How are you?
Happy birthday, and what a fantastic studio.
Yes. Now, how's that mic for you? Do you want to raise your chair a little bit? Because it's in a good spot. See, right on your right over here, you can raise your chair. You see this little lever? See that? Or is that the highest it goes?
I think I'm okay.
You're okay.
Yeah.
You guys, you all have such great posture. Yeah, you have all such great. I have horrible posture. This is the last time you were on my show 2 years ago.
2 years.
2 years. Right before the Mayweather fight.
Wow.
For the Khabib fight, we didn't keep up the tradition, and we all know how that went. I'm taking the credit. I feel like when you have a tradition, you got to stick with it.
Okay.
And so but you did speak to me a week later, if you'll recall.
I did.
At the Bellator event. But I was thinking, wow, 2017, last time we spoke, crazy. I wasn't even working here.
Blur those 2 years.
Yes.
Things have just gotten so busy. Even, obviously, Conor is my most well-known fighter, but just the acceleration and the number of fighters I have between Bellator and UFC and Brave now, a big show coming up in the Middle East. So it's, I was actually just thinking on my way here today, back then, I had probably less than 10 fighters at that kind of big show level. Now I've got 40. So
wow.
Even if they're fighting even just twice a year, that's almost every weekend is I'm with a fighter somewhere.
And you're traveling to all these?
Yes.
Is it exhausting?
Yes.
And you can never take a break, right? Because then if you take a break, a fighter's like, oh, well, you went to his show and not mine.
Yeah, I even
sensitive.
get like tore apart when I've got two guys on the same night. And I have a very simple process there. I'll just go with whatever fighter I had already agreed to go with.
Okay.
But still, you get tore apart if you're not somebody's corner.
Right.
Very passionate fans in MMA.
Well, luckily for you, this past weekend, you only had one fighter on the Bellator card, correct?
Yes.
Dillon Danis.
Mr. Danis, yeah.
He wins 2-0. First of all, I'm assuming you knew about the knee injury, correct?
Yeah. It happened a week out.
Right.
And
how did it happen?
Weirdly a common story. The last round of his last spar. In fact, it was the last few seconds of the round. And he went for the same technique that he won his fight with, but he got caught in a kind of a funny angle and he heard a tear.
Oh, no.
He went and got assessed and it turned out he had a tear of his LCL.
Oh, God.
And I didn't know whether it was going to happen or not. And then I said, I'll come over anyway. So I flew in on Tuesday and you're kind of like, let's just make weight then. Let's see how the next 48 hours go. And we made the decision. If you're going to take it and you lose, then you can't talk about it because you're assuming you're at a high enough level to compete. That always kind of bugs me if someone loses a fight and I had this injury. I think if you win it, you can mention it. But yeah, he did have a pretty bad tear in the knee. So,
which makes
if you actually watch his fight, for jiu-jitsu guys out there, they'll see how little he was using his left leg. He was a lot of time with just one hook in, or if you put both hooks in, he wouldn't go to the body triangle, which would be his go-to move. So there's a few positions that he couldn't do what he would normally do, but he still did very well.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he actually maybe even looked better than the first fight. Showed more in his arsenal, correct?
I thought so too. Yeah, the takedown came pretty quick, but even his kind of ground and pound style, I don't think we'd really seen that before.
Right.
He's only had one fight.
Sure.
But very dominant takedown, dominant style ground and pound. Good positioning, and then obviously good awareness of listening to his corner. I still have to remind myself it's the second fight ever.
Right.
No amateur career.
Right.
So little things like understanding that with 45 seconds to go, I would pretty much always call for a joint lock rather than a choke, because by the time you set up a strangle, people can usually hold on. They hear the clicker going and they'll hold on, whereas a joint lock is a quick submission. So his awareness to know that call was coming and then hear it and then follow through on it. He did a couple of... Somebody with a lot... Usually it takes guys a lot more experience to do the type of things he was doing in his second only ever fight.
I find it hilarious that he bothers people so much. He really riles them up. What is he like, behind the scenes? Is he coachable? Is he easy to be around?
Yeah, it's almost getting to be a badly kept secret. Maybe I'll get in trouble for saying this, but he's such a nice guy. I'm so fond of Dillon. Orla is so fond of Dillon. We love having him over in the house. He's a great guy, and he has. I think Chael was one of the first guys to have this kind of. It's not that it's not them, but it's a blown up cartoonish figure of them.
Right.
So definitely Dillon is very competitive and he likes talking and letting people know. But it's a magnified version of that personality that is there.
Right. Okay, but
I'm super fond of him.
Okay, and we'll get more insight from him and see how his knee is feeling. If he has, do you know if he needs surgery?
we're going to get assessed. I was hoping he would go in today, but definitely this week he'll get a proper scan and make a decision whether just to rehab it or go for surgery. I was really hoping to get him on a run this year, and get 2 or 3 even before the end of the year, and now that's in question. So we'll have to just wait.
You announced recently that SBG is moving.
Yes. You
have a new facility coming. When does it open? In September?
So it's opening in August. Second weekend in August. It's funny, it was about a year and a half ago, I was told by my current landlord that they weren't going to renew my lease. Actually, they were cutting my lease in half. It was supposed to be a 10-year lease. And at 3.5 years in, they were telling me, okay, at 5 years, you're out. And it was a disaster, things were going well, and I thought I had another 5 years there. And this is not the first time it's happened to me where I've been kind of kicked out of my premises. And it's funny, and in the other cases, and I was a little bit more confident this time that it would actually turn out to be a good thing, and it has, because I found somewhere very close. It's bigger, it's better suited for what I need. It has the layout of it is better. So what was initially a disaster when I got that letter, I was a little bit panicked over. I won't lie.
Yeah.
It's turned out to be a great thing, and I bought the building, so I have a little bit of comfort with that now for the next couple of decades, hopefully.
How big is it?
It's about 11,500 square feet. So.
And the one now?
8.
Oh, wow.
So it's
a huge upgrade.
It's a good.
And you own it.
And I own it. So
yeah. And this is one of those gyms that you're gonna have dorms and things like that.
We call them chill out spaces. So just
chill out spaces
where people can rest.
Okay. So not sleep.
Sessions. No.
Not live.
Yeah.
Okay, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's a whole other undertaking, right?
Yeah.
It seemed to be like a new thing that gyms were doing. Like TriStar did it, and ATT did it. We're getting a look at it here. You posted this on your social media recently. It's an amazing space because I remember like when I was first introduced to, your team. I remember the yellow mats, the shed, courtesy of the documentary, the notorious documentary that Severe did. That was nothing like this.
No. I still kind of pinch myself looking at this. It's still very much a bit of a building site at the moment, and we're getting near the end. It's going to be ready. I'm hoping it's ready by mid-July, and then we have some filming and stuff to do the last 2 weeks in July, and then actually open in August. But yeah, I'm living for this. This is something that when I started coaching full time when I was 25, that's 17 years ago now. If you'd have shown me this, I probably would have just laughed.
Right.
This seemed like an impossible dream, and now it's pretty close to being there. So I'm very happy about it.
Well, congratulations, and I understand that's not the only exciting thing happening in your life these days, professionally.
Yes.
One might think that I was like setting you up for like a wedding, or you haven't gotten married yet, right?
Still haven't got married.
It's taking so long.
I know.
Let me tell you, when you find someone like Orla, you marry them, all right? Okay. Just to let you know. She didn't tell me to say that, for the record.
She's texting in there. Yeah. Let me see that screen.
No pressure or anything, but this is the Jewish grandmother.
We will get there. We will get there.
All right.
But other than that.
Yes.
So I started a fight series in 2013.
Okay.
I ran my first one in September 2013. I did them years and years ago. And then I got back into it in 2013. I thought I'd do a few. And it just didn't happen for one reason or another. But so I called it Euro Fight Night, EFN.
Okay.
And Euro Fight Night 2, 6 years later, will be on in October in Manchester in the UK. So I'm dabbling my toes back into promoting again.
Okay.
And I'm excited about that. We have a couple of really good partnerships with it. I think most exciting of it all is that we're going to do a tournament on the night with the winner getting a multi-fight deal with Bellator. And I think that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
Because it's
guaranteed?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what weight?
205.
And these are pros?
Yes.
Okay.
So we kind of looked out for exciting up-and-coming pros without 5 fights or less. Because in Europe, there's a very it's nobody really has a defined path to get to the big show, whether that's UFC or Bellator or ONE FC, something where you can kind of make a career of fighting. There's a lot of good UK-based shows, but the pay is just such that you can't make a living off it.
Right.
That's why we have to come over here and try to get on the big show. But there's not really a defined way. What should you win 10 fights? Do you have to be loud on social media? Do you have to know somebody? Do you have to be in the right gym? And so on. So that's why I actually got back into this, because I had this opportunity to offer a multi-fight deal with Bellator as the prize.
Okay.
And that made it worthwhile then. That made it exciting. And I actually picked a weight class I have nobody in, so it won't be anybody from my gym that gets it.
Okay.
We're picking local UK guys. We have 4 already. It might turn into an 8-man tournament, which would be very cool.
Yeah.
Bit of a throwback. And then that'll be supported with a big amateur undercard. And if it goes well, then it'll be looking to maybe do between 4 and 8 shows in 2020.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting project.
And so these 4 or 8 fighters, are they competing on the same night?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we'll do. We actually have 7 at the moment, so it could turn into an 8-man tournament.
Okay.
And the idea would be to do it kind of like what the Invicta 8 8-woman tournament.
Yep.
1 round, and then just a regular fight. So at most you're not going to do more than 5 rounds in a single night. But a lot of the guys we have selected for the 205, most of them haven't got out of the first round anyway. They're all like big hitters, so I think they're actually going to be quite quick fights. And it's not easy getting through an 8-man tournament. You can pick up injuries. It's tough. But that's the kind of resilience you want to see in somebody before they go to a big show, to see are they ready for that kind of jumping level. My partner Theodorou, he'd be probably best known for being Aaron Chalmers'
yes,
coach, manager.
I know him just as K.
K, yeah.
Just K. When I first met him, he's like, my name is K.
Yeah, I know. And I was months getting to know it's Theodorou. So
Yeah.
he's kind of like Cher, he's got one name.
So he's your partner in this venture.
So he's my partner in this,
Okay.
and what he brings is he's involved in the MMA world, but he's also very involved in the entertainment world. He's booking DJs and reality TV stars and whatnot. So he's coming at it he has a very good understanding of the sort of entertainment side of things and how to use social media and all of these things. So what I'm hoping is that whoever wins, they know then they have a secure contract with Bellator and they're going to make very good money over the next 12 months of fighting. They're welcome to come over and train with me. They have access to my gym. And then Kay, can offer them support in how to turn that opportunity into becoming a bit of a star, which is part of the entertainment industry that we're in. And
why do this? Like you just said, your hands are pretty full with just cornering fighters. Why now get involved in this?
You know what? I met Kay over a year ago now, I guess, and we'd always be at shows and we'd be talking about different things. And one of the things we were chatting about was we're in a weird industry where there's no, like I said, especially for UK and Irish fighters, and I'd say European fighters in general, it's very hard to know what path to take to get to a good opportunity. I mean, later on, you're speaking to Brendan Loughnane, a fantastic fighter. He had to go a very arduous journey in order to get to, the big stage, UFC. And with my connections with Bellator and chatting with them and chatting with Kay, this sort of opportunity came about where we would be able to offer something very substantial. If it was just another fight purse, I wouldn't be that excited about it because you can get that on any UK level show. But here's not a suggestion that you might get to the big show. There's some shows out there. It's like, well, if you become the champion, you might go into the whatever show. This is a definite. You're getting a contract on the night. You win the tournament. You're a Bellator fighter, and I think that's something exciting. I think that's something worthwhile to give to the UK and Irish MMA community.
Can you clarify something for me? What is your relationship with Bellator? Because it's clearly like you have a very good working relationship with them, and it's almost like you're helping to develop a lot of their talent. A lot of the guys that you coach out of SPG are going there. Is it just that, or is there more to this relationship? Because I remember Scott Coker with Bob Cook back in the day with AKA. Like AKA was like the Strike Force factory. Everyone went there first. Kane, Rockhold, Cormier, Josh Thompson, Frank Shamrock. Is it the same kind of thing here? It reminds me very much like it.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Even just from a numbers point of view, I have. I'm going to get it wrong now, but I think I've got 5 or 6 in the UFC, whereas I've 25 in Bellator.
Wow.
So numbers alone, I'm obviously doing a lot more with Bellators next week.
Is there a reason for that?
It's just seemed to happen in the last year and a half. I have a great relationship with Mike Hogan. I'm sure you know Mike. He's absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
And he somewhat took me under his wing. I'd ask him questions at shows about how things work because, I've obviously had a great run with UFC, and I still have great fighters in there. Brad Katona just won Ultimate Fighter, and Mac Wan had a great win last weekend, and so on. But it's a big company. It's big corporate. I get along very well with Sean Shelby, but I don't really know anybody else in it. With Bellator, I kind of know everybody in it. It's very like a family feel or something. You know, from the guy, you know, MJ that's booking your flights, and I see him at every show, and obviously Mike Hogan, I work with very closely, and Scott, you know, he's pictures of him with Bruce Lee, and he's, he's really into martial arts. So I don't know, I feel I get on very well in there. But I'm very lucky that I have good contacts with, you know, most of the major promotions, and I have fighters in them all. But purely from a numbers point of view, and the fact as well that Bellator have such a strong European series.
Right.
You know, they've got 2 shows a year in Dublin now, February and September.
Okay.
I believe that's booked long term. So for me, that's like this weekend. I'm always traveling to New York or somewhere in the States to be able to just get the Lewis down the road to the Tree Arena and have, you know, between 8 and 10 guys on a card.
Wow.
is incredible. You know, it's a great position to be in. We do quite well on our side as well. I feel like, you know, we 10,000 people at the February event,
right?
And I've no doubt that'll even sell out quicker for the September event, because I think some people were a bit hesitant. You know, well, what is this Bellator show going to be like? And a lot of people left buying tickets to the end. There'll be loads of tickets, and it's sold out. I think this one will sell out even quicker in September, and we'll actually be announcing the card on Saturday after the London event.
Okay.
You know, it goes on sale, I think, then the following day or whatever, and it's going to be a great card. Yeah, so it's, you know, for a few reasons, I have a very good working relationship with Bellator.
Okay. The EFN show that you're doing, it's in...
So that's going to be in Manchester.
In Manchester, okay.
Yeah.
The big arena there, or we're going to work our way up? The Evening News arena? That's too big, right?
I have to ask Kay. I think it's about a 2,000 seater.
Okay.
So that's the size we're going for.
Okay, and the date?
October 19th.
Okay.
And we actually had a bunch of social media, you know, like Twitter and Instagram and all that. We had all them 6 years ago, and I kind of forgot about them. So we're starting to get them back working up again.
Okay.
So I think fightnight.com and EFN on Twitter and so on. I guess I'll stick up the handles after.
Please, yes, absolutely.
So people can keep an eye on it if they wish to come along in October.
And a good way for fight. I mean, we just saw Andrew Ruiz tell the story that he reached out to Eddie Hearn via social media. This is a good way now to find fighters. Do you know that story? Andy Ruiz, who just knocked out Joshua. Right. You know, when Joshua was supposed to fight Big Baby Miller on that card, Baby Miller, you know, he tested positive. Andrew Ruiz went on Instagram. No way. Yes, and went to Eddie Hearn and said, "Give me the fight." That's brilliant. That's how they found him. That's brilliant. And now he's the heavyweight champion.
That's a great story.
Right? So now you get your social media up, and you'll have fighters coming after you. One person who's very active on social media, I don't know if you know this, is a guy named Conor McGregor. Are you familiar with him?
I have heard of him.
What is the status of your relationship?
The status of my relationship?
If you'd like to know why I phrased the question that way, of course, he hasn't fought since October. Mm-hmm. And then there was this interview that came out where you essentially said, like, you know, you have to give me a reason to corner you again, basically. I'm paraphrasing, but I feel like that's accurate. You know, if it's another Nate fight, okay, I get that. But if it's just a fight for a fight, I would say to you, best of luck. Mm-hmm. Is that still the case?
I guess what I was really trying to say was I really want to see him motivated, you know, and he probably said the Tony Robbins interview where he spoke about losing that for a bit. And this is a game where it's, you know, it's full on, it's full contact, it's dangerous. And when he won the second belt, when he beat Eddie, he had achieved everything he set out to achieve. You know, he was very wealthy, he was world champion. So you've got to then take some time and think, well, what's going to motivate you to do it anymore? Excuse me. And he said himself that became a bit of a problem. You know, like, what is it? You know, is it get another belt? Is it make some more money? And I think what has come back around is that he realizes it's the love of the sport. He loves doing it. He loves training. He loves competing. And legacy, you know, that he's remembered as being one of the best, if not the best ever. So that's what's really come back into him in the last since the beginning of the year, and that's what I wanted to see, you know, because you know, he's obviously a very well-known student of mine, but he's also like somewhat like a kid brother or something. So you wouldn't want to see him doing something just for the sake of doing and maybe getting hurt or whatever, and because he's not fully there. But now he absolutely is. You know, we're having a lot of deep conversations about technical sequences and training regimes and so on. And it really reminds me of, his rise.
Okay.
And to see that again is exciting. We had a bit of a knockback with his hand. He hurt his hand a couple of weeks ago, but that'll pass. He'll be.
How did that happen?
It was sparring. I set up a spar, and it was a good spar, and he just clipped the guy on the side of the head and damaged his hand. But he went to see a really good hand surgeon, and he's undergone.
Did he need surgery?
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
He's undergoing therapy right now. But
why was he sparring? Was he preparing for a fight?
Always.
Okay.
Always preparing.
Was there an actual fight? Because we had heard, and I'd heard from other people, but Anthony Pettis was on my show and said that he was offered July 27th against Conor at MSG. And of course, it's no longer at MSG, and that fight can happen because of his injury. But there was even some talk, I believe, of Justin Gaethje. Is this a real thing as far as you guys are concerned?
I'd be 100% honest to say I'm not really involved in that side of things. That's between Audie and Conor and those guys discussing an upcoming fight. If I'm speaking about Makwan, it's pretty much just me, Makwan, and Sean Shelby talking.
Right.
When you're talking about a Conor McGregor fight, there's teams of people, it seems. So I'm just back out of that. I've got enough to be filling my day with in the gym and with the rest of my team, and I just let him come to me and say when something's going to happen. But yeah, all those names are being mentioned, and soon dates were being mentioned. I'm like, okay, well, let's go back into it then. And but he was in fantastic shape already because he had been hitting it hard with the McGregor fast system. He'd been training with his team on that, and then he was getting back into more martial arts specific training. And just unfortunate, it was a great spar. It was fantastic to see him moving again, looking really well, and then just clipped his hand. But he's taken it very well, taking the positives out and just recognizing it's a step back, but we're ready to take 5 steps forward.
You think he fights this year?
Yes.
Who do you want to see him fight? If it was up to you, if he comes up to you and says, "Coach, who should I fight? The world is my oyster."
I always loved the Diaz trilogy. I've kind of said that from the start.
Right.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how Nate looks in the fight that's coming up. That would just be, as a fan, very exciting. Justin Gaethje it kind of reminds me, it's that similar style of, you can take a tremendous amount of punishment and keep coming forward. Honestly, like if it's Conor, excited and motivated and pushing himself hard, it doesn't really matter all that much to me. They're all anybody in the UFC at the level that Conor will be fighting are good opponents. You have different challenges.
You don't have a strong preference.
If you're going to put a gun to me, it would be the Diaz trilogy.
Okay,
that'd be for me.
And that one seemed to be sort of trending in the right direction, but then of course I don't know what happened. I think there was a miscommunication of sorts. But perhaps when he returns, MSG Diaz, that's the one that I'm really looking. If he beats Pettis, I feel like they'll try to do Diaz Conor at MSG in November.
Oh wow,
that's my. Now, what do you make of the Khabib thing? Would you be in favor of him coming right back? Because Dana keeps saying that's the fight he wants. That's the fight he wants, and I know that's the fight. Like we all know, just like he was after he lost to Nate, right? He wanted to go right back in there and right the wrong.
Sure,
but. Isn't there something to be said about getting your mojo back, getting a W, getting your confidence back, or would you be in favor of him jumping right back in there against Khabib
I think
right away?
For 99.9% of people, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But there's absolute confidence I have in him, and he has in himself. So I don't think it's as important when it's a very unique person, a very unique character. Almost anybody else, I would say, yeah. For Conor, no. We're actually only recently watching the fight, and I would be very confident in the rematch.
You would?
I would be.
So you'd be in favor of him taking that fight right away
Sure.
if it is presented?
Absolutely.
In that interview with Tony Robbins, he said something about, listening to other people and being too defensive in training and things like that. What did you make of those comments? That I didn't listen to myself, that I was too reactionary, I wasn't going out and doing what I wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, I was on Joe Rogan on Monday after the fight, and I held my hand up about that. I was when I was prepping for that fight, and I've been watching Khabib for a long time. It was kind of an obvious clash that was coming. I was trying to come up with ways of defending everything the guy was doing, rather than trusting a bit more in Conor's instincts and his ability to attack more. So that would be definitely a change. And it's funny. It's when I watch the fight back, I see a lot different. And sometimes you read this how some people describe it, like watch round 3. There's a lot there that we could have with small changes had big differences, and make mistakes but don't repeat them. So I believe the rematch would be very, very different.
Considering your revelation, as you said on the Monday after, and what he said, did the game plan and maybe not seeing eye to eye, did that create a rift between you two? I'm not breaking news. Like, there seems to be this story out there that you guys were you were drifting, right? And I remember the story you told me after the first Nate fight, where you were kind of like always passing each other, and so I was wondering if that was happening again. Not
really. I mean, it's kind of like, let's say Dillon now. Dillon's fight's over. I probably won't see him for a couple of weeks or even talk to him. Right. Because he's going to be doing family time and he's downtime. He's come back for an injury. I have James Gallaher and Charlie Ward and, this Saturday. And that has to be my focus. And then when their fight's over, I mightn't see James Gallaher for a couple of weeks. So it's not that unusual not to see someone or talk to someone for a couple of weeks after. Okay. It's obviously, it's just highlighted more when it's Conor.
Yeah, a lot was made of that.
A lot was made of it.
Right.
Then, I don't bother trying to reply to everything online because you'd just be tortured.
Yeah, of course.
He came along to a show where one of his buddies was fighting on Wim to Warrior. And, it just wasn't that big a thing to me. It wasn't unusual for me not to see him for a while after contests. Whether he wins or loses, that's fairly standard behavior. But it was cool, like I said, when I started hearing he was getting back into heavy conditioning training, and he trained right over the holidays, and then in the new year really got into it, and then started talking about fighting again. And I'm disappointed that
injury.
I somewhat hold my hand up for setting up that spar. I kind of wish I hadn't done that, but that's how it goes. Sure, that's how it goes sometimes.
You ever sit back and are like, man, 2016, 2014, 2015, like that was special, and I don't know, like, will we ever have that again? Like, now he's a megastar, right? He's one of the most famous athletes in the world. It's going to be hard to recreate Dublin in July. Crazy that it's 5 years. Wow. This coming month, right? Okay, yeah. The Brand out fight. That's crazy, right? Do you ever sit back and miss those days? Or are you not that kind of person?
Not really, They were great when we went through them.
Simpler time, right?
Simpler time, yeah. It was. But the only thing constant is change. Right. So, just got to roll with it, and we're in a fantastic position now. I'm about to move into like a real world-class facility, and the team is rocking. There's a great buzz amongst all my fighters and everybody in the gym. We've got a big gym from small kids and then amateurs. We have the IMAF, the International MMA Federation. Europeans are on this week. And, current world champion Lee Hammond, one of Conor's teammates, one of my students, he's over there in Rome. We have the biggest team of all is the Irish team. We've got more athletes than anybody else in the world going to the Europeans. So, things are great. Things are very, very positive. We have a lot to take out of it. And like I said, now Conor's really got this momentum going again. And there's just that feel in the gym, even when he came down to spar a couple of weeks ago, everybody gets a bit like, oh, here we go again. And, it's not going to be long before he's going to be back, and he'll be back training with the team, and we'll start that process again. But there is fights every other weekend with somebody, and there's always something going on in the gym. And like I said, I'm dabbling my toes in promotions again, and we have the Wim to Warrior program, which is maybe the most exciting thing I've done in MMA and done a hell long, because of the diversity of people that it's affecting and the positive results we're getting. Some physical, which is nice, but the mental strength people are getting from this, that's been probably the most rewarding thing I've done in a long, long time.
As you mentioned, you're very much involved in the grassroots of mixed martial arts in your country. You're one of the most famous people. You're at the forefront with IMAF and Wim to Warrior, all these things. And I was talking about this with someone recently. There was that clip, and forgive me, you probably know his name. It might have been the mayor of Dublin. There was a parade, and I guess Conor was involved in the parade, and he said, oh, he doesn't represent us.
Oh, yeah.
That man.
It's our prime minister.
Prime minister, excuse me, of Ireland.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm just wondering, because you're so closely linked, I've talked to Greg Jackson about this as well with John Jones, but this is on a different level because you're doing like national stuff. And let's be honest, he has run into some trouble. How much blowback do you get as a result? You have nothing to do with this stuff, but yet you're linked to him. You will always be linked to him. He's your student. How much, like, you're out there trying to get the sport accepted and break barriers, and then another thing happens, and then you have to almost answer for it, right?
Yeah.
How difficult is that?
Well, here I am now. You're asking me to answer for it now.
Well, no,
I do try to create the.
I'm not asking you to answer for his actions. I'm asking about the phenomenon where I'm sure you are having the finger pointed at you, because let's be honest, you're a little more accessible than he is, right? You're doing much more media than he is.
Yeah. So right now our association is going through the process with Sport Ireland. That's the group that looks after all the national governing bodies for sport, whether that's football or table tennis, canoeing, it doesn't matter. They're all under this umbrella group called Sport Ireland. That's the government branch of sport. Okay. And yes, I am going through that process with them of trying to get MMA recognised as a legitimate standalone sport. And in their defence, they don't really bring up anything that happens on the professional end like that, because they just see it as being, well, that's, prize fighting. It's like comparing what Tyson Fury gets up to what someone in the Olympics is doing.
Okay.
So Sport Ireland is an amateur body, and IMA, what I'm dealing with, I'm the president of the association, is an amateur body, and that's what we're talking about. Talking about the 0.0001% that are, first of all, ever going to go pro, because that's actually been a big change in MMA in general. I don't think it's as big over here yet, but it will. But this idea of just having an amateur career, that you can go and be a European, the IMAF European champion, the IMAF world champion, and you might do that 2 or 3 times, and it's, they're in rash guards, you have shin pads on, it's, you fly your flag, you wear your team tracksuit, you do that a couple of times, and then you're mid-20s, and then you get a job and you carry on. Whereas before it was like, okay, just get a few amateur fights, get it out of the way, and okay, now what's your professional career? And that's different now. There's a very distinguishable difference between the amateurs, which is going to be the majority of people, and then the pinnacle of the pyramid, the professional end. So yeah, in my meetings with Sport Ireland, they don't bring it up in their defense. They don't like, oh, well, we're not going to, support MMA because of what's going on in the professional end of things.
Okay.
It is kept separate. That we do have a lot of work to do, and we have done a lot, and I have a meeting coming up possibly next month with Sport Ireland, and who knows, we might get the nod. But we had to do a lot, good governance, child protection policies, having a bona fide curriculum, coaching levels, referee training, judges training. There's a huge amount of work that goes into trying to put together an association. I was very ignorant of that when I started. Okay. I thought it'd be pretty simple. Well, we do a bit of sparring in the gym, and is that not good enough? It's like, no. We had to come up with this book basically, and we have done. We had it just recently. We had an EGM, and it got accepted by our member body. We've got a couple of thousand members now, because we have, not only are the clubs members of the association, but the individual members of clubs are now part of the association. So we have participation levels that are enough to kind of warrant Sport Ireland raising their eyebrows and saying, oh, there's a couple of thousand people doing this.
Wow.
My most recent Wimp to Warrior program, we had 50%. We have almost 50% participation from women. That's another big thing for sport. It's globally, right, trying to get more women involved in it. We have programs now from 4 to 64. So that we're showing inclusivity. So it's we're kind of ticking all those boxes to make a government body to sit down and go, oh, this isn't just a couple of yahoos on a Saturday night, drinking at a venue. Like there's just something legitimate here, and that's really what I want to be able to leave behind.
Speaking of women, could Becky Lynch be an MMA fighter? Does she have what it takes? Or is this just all sort of, you're training her? I don't believe that that's fake by any stretch, but she doesn't have any desire to become an MMA fighter, correct?
No, I don't think so. She's fantastic at what she does. She actually used to train in SBG like 10 years ago.
Way back when, right? That's right.
She was. I never actually
remember her.
No, I'd never met her. She was doing privates with one of the guys, and there was a bit of a word going around. There's this crazy girl that wants to learn flying arm bars on day one and all this. She has that personality type,
right?
But yeah, she drops in. She's very gracious with her time. We have a big kids club, and they're all insane about her. They all have the man T-shirts, and she would always drop in. And I'd be, when I do a training session with her, I'd be saying, okay, now make your way out the back door there, because you're going to get cut.
Yeah.
She'll know. Always walks up. We'll stay there an hour. photographs to everybody, chat to everybody. She's real inspiration to the young girls, seeing what someone can do. She's a fantastic athlete. She will leave. I challenge anybody to try and outwork her. She's a fantastic worker. If she was to say to me tomorrow, I'd like to give this MMA game a go, give me a year and I'd have her fighting at a high level. That's no doubt, because she has an engine.
Okay.
And she's tough as hell. We know what that is, what she does, but you do get smacked around the place and take big hits, and that's a big part of this game. They have the mental toughness and the physical toughness to do it. Very, very fit. She's a great performer. We know that she's not going to go out and freeze under the big lights.
Right.
So, no, she would do very, very well if she was to graces.
Oh, yeah. They are so... I mean, I hate when people scoff at pro wrestlers like, oh, they're just actors or fake. You have to be legitimately tough to do what they do. Did you go to the show when she was in Ireland?
I did, yeah. I'd never
right?
been.
Never been?
I'd never been. I hadn't watched wrestling since, like, watching the Hulk in maybe WrestleMania 8 or something.
Yeah.
So the
Hulk. I love that you call him the Hulk.
The Hulkster?
No, Hulk Hogan. Yes, the Hulkster is fine, but he wasn't the Hulk. But now I know that you're truly not a pro wrestling fan, which is okay. Hulk Hogan, yes. WrestleMania 3, he fought Andre the Giant and he slammed him.
I remember watching that and like tears in my eyes.
Yes, amazing moment.
I couldn't believe he was able to beat this.
Yes.
Eighth wonder of the world.
That's right.
And I remember my dad was at this stage starting to kind of say, that they're not really. I couldn't. What?
Yeah. How dare
you?
Yeah.
Jake the Snake Roberts. That was probably my favorite. So yeah, I was a big fan during that period, and then obviously didn't see it for a long time, and then to go to the Tree Arena, and it was a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, and I walked in and 10,000 people, like a packed UFC event, which or Bellator event on a Saturday night. Yeah. This was Thursday night. Yeah. School the next day, work the next day. So for anybody who's like you said, is kind of scoffing, and these could do this every week if they wanted.
Sure.
I was just shocked at that level of 10,000 people. That was already amazing. And then the fights were good fun. They're real performers, great entrances, great theatrics. And then when Becky walked out, that was just a different level. It
deafening,
was
right?
Deafening. It really did remind me of Conor walking out against Brando.
I was just about to ask you.
Oh, it was that same level of emotion, and I think her dad was in the audience. She gave him a tip of the hat. She gave him a shout out. It was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if it was the same, if it maybe even louder, just because she's a lot further along in her career than Conor was in 2014. Hard to compare, I know.
I would have to say no, and the reason being is that there was, it's a mixed group. Maybe half are kids, half are adults. So you might have 5,000 screaming adults.
Right.
Conor had 10,000 screaming adults. So there is a different level of, and it's a Thursday night, so maybe a lot of people not drinking because they're in work the next morning. So it was a little bit calmer, but still amazing. Still
to this day, I must say that night is July 2014, probably my favorite night covering this sport. Like the emotion, the magic in the air, all the local guys, if you will, winning, Gunny winning, Norman Park winning. I mean, it's just, I don't, like, have you ever sat down and watched it again recently, just from start to finish, or at least your fights? That was just...
I've not, but maybe I will. If it's the 5-year anniversary, maybe it's time to rent out a cinema and bring all the fighters in and watch it loud.
You're giving me goosebumps. Can I come too?
100%,
I want to be there. Wow,
100%.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's actually...
Wow.
I might look into that.
Q&A afterwards or something.
Oh,
how about that?
There we go. There we go.
Well, so that leads me to this question. Let's clear something up. I had Paddy Houlihan on my show. Mm-hmm. What's going on here? How do I fix this? What's happening? So
we're working together now on with IMA, the association.
Okay.
He's part of the coaching committee.
Okay.
It's kind of like I feel it's when you're in school and when you're graduating, you have this real tight group of people, and it's like we'll always be in contact. And then you leave school, and that was kind of us graduating a couple of years ago. And some people go off traveling, and some people get married, and some people get a job, and we've all just kind of. I'm in touch with some people, but I'm not in touch with others. Like I said, in the last couple of years, my professional fight team, I thought 2 years ago we were at a pinnacle, 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
Now 40 that are competing at a level that I once had 5.
Wow.
At a world stage. We always had, it was Conor and Paddy and Ash and Cahill, and we had that 7 or 8, real tight band. And then I had a few amateurs, and that was it. Now, between amateurs and pros, we're approaching 70.
Wow.
70, and I've just taken on another full-time coach. Actually, one of my first real training partner, sparring partner, David Roach. He's teaching the class right now. He's coaching the class while I'm traveling because I needed to do that. So yeah, it's just, life gets in the way. You other things take position of you've only got a limited number of hours a day. So I've just had to focus on what I'm doing. And I mean, he's gone into politics now. He seems to be doing great there. He got elected, and I'm sure he's going to be super busy with that. So
no bad blood.
Not for me.
On your end. It seemed like there was something there that he wanted to talk about that didn't. When I had him on the show, I had no idea. And he said I think he has a book coming out or something. I don't want to see that. You guys were great together.
Yeah.
You were a great team. You're hopeful that you'll be back on better terms?
Sure.
Okay. I like the story of you. He was the first one that kicked it off. Mm-hmm. All right, fair enough. I will leave it at that. Now, we have James Gallaher returning this Saturday, and he had a big win on, when was that? Was it March? No, February. When he returned.
Yes, February.
Yeah. There were a lot of questions about him, right? Will he live up to the hype? How would you categorize where he is right now? Like, do you feel like he's still sort of, because in Bellator, we saw that this past weekend with Aaron Pico, right? And I thought it was fascinating that we had Pico and Dillon Danis on the same card, because in one breath, you have everyone saying, Scott Coker ruined Aaron Pico. Oh, he's giving him 2 tough matchups. And in the next breath, you have people saying, he's protecting Danis. He's not giving him tough enough matchups. It can't be both, right? And so I feel like James has kind of been in the middle there, and maybe he's stumbled a little bit. Where do you think he's at right now?
He's in a great place.
He is.
He's in a great place mentally. It was nice to get that win back. He's. I always say this in interviews. I have to remind myself just how young he is.
How young is he for the 21?
What's he now? 22. 23 in October.
It's amazing.
It's still
His maturity is just.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the way he handled that loss against Ricky Bandejas. Like, he was on my show the Monday after, handling it like he won.
Right.
Like, I can't handle defeat like that, and I'm 36. I was blown. That's when I truly knew that this guy's going to be something, because of the way he handled the loss. That's when you really find out about these people, right?
True.
Yeah.
True. And, not an accident that was his attitude. He's been around me, and he's been around Conor, and so, he's developed. And so, he has a lot of big brothers that have guided him through that process. But we're all very proud of him and how he did handle it. And he came back with a great win. A lot of pressure on his young shoulders walking out in February. And there will be again this weekend in London. It's actually a fight probably of all the fights he's had, this is one I'm looking forward to most. I think this is a very interesting prospect.
Okay.
The guy's skill set matches up very well to James's. I could see it being, I just saw, he was just tweeting there recently, it's done in one. That's kind of his hashtag almost at this stage. But I do think it could possibly go the distance.
Okay.
The guy's very hard to finish. But it's going to be an interesting one, And I've just really liked what I've seen in training from James recently in the lead up to this. We had a lot of good sparring. He sort of, I felt with the Ricky fight, he was kind of going down the road. He was falling in love with the boxing skills a little bit, and I think you have to know everything in MMA if you want to get to a high level. But he has a certain style. That's not it, and he's very much gone to the style that he is. He's kind of got that like Ultimate Cheetah, Gunnar Nelson, karate background, and then he's obviously lethal on the ground. And it's just nice to see the return of that, and he's got some real finesse to what he does now. It's very nice to watch.
What is your take on like the proper way to build a prospect? Because James would fall into that category. They signed him. He was very young.
2-0.
2-0, right? So, I mean, essentially the same as a Pico or Danis, a couple more fights. I know he had a more extensive amateur career, correct? He fought...
Not a huge amount, but yeah, he did have...
More than Danis.
Yeah, more than Danis. Yeah. Everybody had more than
yes.
Danis.
And so, like, I feel... But I'd much prefer to hear your thoughts. Like, I feel, like in boxing, you can have like 15, quote unquote cans, if you will, just to build you up, to work on things. You fight actively. In MMA, like, we want to throw these guys into the fire after their first fight. Like Dillon, I see people saying afterwards, okay, let's see him fight a ranked opponent next. Why? Why should he fight a ranked opponent next? Is there a fine line?
With Dillon's guy, Big John was saying the guy had close to 30 fights. Because Big John was saying he'd actually reffed a lot of his fights that are not on his record. He was actually quite experienced, and actually when I looked at his skill set in terms of, he's very hard to finish. Like, he's very good at defending chokes, keeps rolling around. I thought actually this might be a difficult one to finish, and it proved to be.
Right.
Even when Dillon's got his back, and he's very good at finishing people, Dillon. But the guy was defending, and I was thinking, this is going to go into the next round, and I wasn't sure how Dillon's knee was going to be. Was he even going to be able to walk out for a second round? Because we put everything into that initial... Well, he failed on the first shot, took him down on the second. So he's a wily veteran, so to speak, 30-odd fights.
Right.
Dillon, second time ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand the fans want to see, the
I guess he asks for it when he calls himself the
He
best.
calls out John Jones,
and Roy McDonald.
So this is the game he's in. I always say that I don't really mind the fans' reactions to fighters as long as there's a reaction. That's what I try to do with my fighters. That's what I try to get across to them. Yes, the technical side of things are super important. You have to win, but you have got to get people engaged in your fights. Otherwise, you're better staying at the amateur career. Just stay amateur if you don't want to speak on the microphone, if you don't want to give interviews, if you don't want to understand the use of social media and so on. Whereas Dillon is very experienced on those levels. Kind of meandered there a little bit. So about building a prospect, I mean the fights, there should be somewhat competitive. I think like Dillon's fight was.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I mean the guy had his skill sets. Dillon is really, really good. I don't think people realize. If you want to say there's 3 skill sets in MMA, you have striking, then you got takedowns and takedown defense, and then you got ground. Like there was a time where you could be like super high level in 1. That's gone now. You have to be super high level in 2, and really, definitely 3 if you want to be a champion. Dillon's wrestling and his ground are really, really high level, extremely high level. Dillon would never be the type of guy to talk about what happens in the training room, but over here he visits a lot of different places, and a lot of people on the MMA scene know what's up with Dillon.
Okay,
they've seen him spar, names, and what he's able to do to them. His stand-up, he's getting so comfortable at it so fast. The ability to see punches coming and catch them on your hands and be able to throw your own. Like that's something that some people just don't get that. Where they just never feel comfortable. So he's already comfortable there. Yes, of course he has to work on that skill set, and he will. But it's not as though he's just somebody coming in with a very high jiu-jitsu background. He's got a very high takedown ability, and his jiu-jitsu is maybe the best in MMA, or is certainly right up there. His finishes from all different positions, his positioning game it's far harder than almost anything I've ever seen. We're still looking forward to the pay-per-view spar when him and Gunnar Nelson get it on, but that hasn't happened yet, and we're all looking forward to that. But his jiu-jitsu is absolutely phenomenal. He's some sort of savant when it comes to that game. And then I really liked in the last one and in the build-up and some of the sparring he sent me, how he was looking on his feet in terms of comfort levels.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's very exciting. He's very exciting future.
What is it about your team that you breed these, like, uber-confident individuals, like almost, you know what I mean? Like almost these cartoon characters in a way. Like no one in regular life has confidence like these people, and not just Conor and Dillon, but even someone like Makwan. Like they're just so. I don't know. Is it something about your team? Do you breed these kinds of people? Are they attracted to you? You really, I mean, you know what I mean? It's an amazing. James, look at James, the way he acts. You know.
I think it's. I think it's 2 things. I do think it's somewhat the role of the coach is to breed confidence. That's you can kind of go anywhere nowadays and learn how to throw a jab and how to do takedowns. But that is something that I do put a lot of time and effort into, is confidence building. I think that's what the gym environment should be about. They should feel safe to fail in the gym. You should feel confident with your teammates, confident with your techniques. And then the other thing, like I said, this is not really in the gym, but it's more in conversations that I keep saying to my guys. Like Ali used to say it, like, I don't care if you're buying a ticket to watch me get whooped or to whoop, as long as you're buying a ticket.
Right.
So if you're in the professional game, you have to get people interested in your story. There's a lot of great fighters out there. They're falling off trees. There's brilliant fighters out there, and most of them will never be heard of because they're not able to get the audience engaged with them. And that's fine. I mean, I think that's what the Olympics is for. And IMF has the World Championships, which is like the Olympics of MMA. And if you've no real personality and you don't want to, that's not really your scene, great. Be a world champion, be a genuine world champion at that level. But at the professional level, you've got to get people interested in your story, interested in your fight, wanting to watch you, and whether they're booing or whether they're cheering is not important to me. It's just important that they're watching. And then, like on the other side, I do think the role of a coach is to build confidence.
What's this deal with Everlast that you announced?
Really exciting partnership for me.
What is it?
So we have a few. I'm after getting a few big deals, like Monster. Signed another 3-year deal with them, which is great with the move coming up. But for Everlast to be replacing, I was with Reebok for a long time, and now I'm with Everlast.
Oh, wow.
And, I met a lot of great people in Reebok. I'm very thankful for that. But in terms of just freaking coolness, as a iconic brand in combat sports, I was so excited to get that deal over the line. I just was in the offices in New York. I don't know if you know where they are.
Yeah.
And I'm with them for the next year and a half, and they're kitting out my gym, and we've got some cool wall stuff going up. I don't want to say too much, but maybe when you're over in August and you're covering the opening.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where we'll do the 5-year conference, right?
I'll have I'll book the cinema.
We'll do it at the gym. Why don't we do it?
Oh. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I've got a big wall.
We've got a lot going on here. The wheels are turning.
Get the wheels turning. Right. We'll keep in touch.
Okay, so they're the official, would you say, like, sponsor of?
So, clothing partner.
Okay,
clothing partner. The way you'd say it. Monster is the energy partner. A few other little announcements coming up, but that's the two kind of big ones.
So we got this. We got EFN back. 6 years after your first show. That's a long break between.
It's a long break. I hope
first and second.
Number 3 will be a little bit shorter.
Okay.
Break.
You already have number 3?
Well, so Kadu is he's 8 shows in 2020.
Okay.
You know, he's the big ideas guy. I'm a little bit more slower. Let's put our toes in it. Let's see how this one goes. But if this one goes the way we think it will, and like I said, I can offer something good at the end of either winning a series or whether we do tournaments or however it is. I don't want to be just another show, because there's a few of them already, and they're all doing great. I would love to be able to always be able to offer something very big at the end of it, so that guy that's 5-0 but doesn't quite know how to get onto the contender series or how quite to get the attention of someone like in Bellator or whatever, to be able to give them a break is very rewarding.
Okay, so you have that, and you have, as you said, Conor coming back.
Yes.
A lot going on.
Yes.
Will Conor McGregor be a champion again in the UFC before it's all said and done?
I can't imagine him not being.
So yes.
Yes.
155.
Yes. Or maybe 165.
I was just about to ask that.
Let's talk about the 165.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something, huh?
That'd be amazing.
172 big. For a one-off here or there, but really? Oh, you're pausing. No.
165 is,
perfect.
I think
that's the sweet spot?
I think that's about ideal. He doesn't really have to cut almost anything for that. And it's nice to see that's, if we could get some way towards that being the norm.
Right.
You know, it's great in IMAF, and the next wave of amateurs coming up, they're getting used to just fighting out whatever their healthy weight is.
155, 165, 175, 185.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's like Americans with their... They hate the metric system, you know. It's in tens.
Everything, yes.
It's up in 12 on this one, and then 15 on the next one. I was like, what? It's just tens.
Right. Simple. I don't know why it's like that. 15, 20. Was the last cut bad with Khabib?
Wasn't easy.
Wasn't easy.
Wasn't easy.
Okay.
Never is.
Never is. Even at 155. Never. Really? Wow.
You know, he'd been out for a while. It was, what was that? Oh, a year or something?
Yeah.
Even I noticed with it kind of prepped me a little bit for Dillon's cut, because he hadn't made the weight in a year.
Sure.
It makes a difference. If you're not doing that 3 times a year, your body gets unused to making the weight, and it becomes a battle in itself. So, it's never easy.
Before I let you go, I'm just curious, because we're about to talk to him. He can't hear, so don't worry. But you have fought both men. You've prepped for both. Khabib, Poirier. Who do you like? Can Poirier do it? Can he pull it off?
He definitely can. He's been on such a run since fighting Conor. Obviously, he's been very, very impressive. It's very hard to not imagine just being taken down, and you know, he's very, very skillful in striking, and he's done very well against guys that have tried to test him there. Has he got that level of wrestling defense ability to get up? I don't know. If you asked me to bet, I would bet on Khabib.
Right, yeah. Khabib is good.
He is.
He's very good.
He's very good.
One day I'd like to see it. I don't know if right now, but who cares about my opinion? And honestly, like, the whole buildup was just a little much, you know, like it was a little, it'd be nice to have him in a buildup with someone else, you know, where it's not as tense.
Yeah.
It was just it was a little heavy towards the end there.
I will agree with that.
And in the aftermath too. So it's just, I don't know, maybe they don't bring out the best in each other. In the cage, it was a fun fight, but I don't know. It would be nice to have them do something separately and then meet up in a year or so. This has been a lot of fun. This has been great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I really appreciate you doing this. People don't realize it is a trek to get to where he
It's
was
a journey.
to here. It's like 2 hours without traffic and then 2
Yeah.
hours back.
And Orla was so mad that I extended my trip to
Oh,
do this.
really?
I kind of half forgot when we were talking. It was a Friday night show. I was thinking Saturday night. That's one extra day, and it was like 2 extra days.
Oh, no.
You know, there's a lot going on at the minute back in the gym, and
Thank you for not canceling.
orders. Yeah,
You did get the leopard
Sorry, Orla.
shorts.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. So well, I'll make up for it when I get home.
Right. I saw that. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
And congratulations. So EFN October 19th.
Yes, sir.
And so he'll tweet out the
All the details.
handles. If you want to be on it, if you want to be that 8th man, there's one more guy.
space, there's
Be the Andy Ruiz of EFN.
Yeah, you
and
never
congrats on Everlast and the new gym and the 5-year anniversary. And good luck to James. And congrats on Makwan. And just a hearty mazel tov for everything, as my people like to say.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it very much. John Kavanagh stopping by. Thank you so much to him. Someone will meet you at the. Look at that young man. How old are you there? Holy smokes!
Yeah, I got the lip ring and everything there. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you don't rock the lip ring anymore, right?
No, thankfully.
How old do you think you are there?
I would say 37.
Oh, it's just a year ago.
Well, I'm 42. So
I'm Joe. That was
quite a year
setting
ago.
you up.
I appreciate the compliment.
Thank you, John. So great. And let's not make it 2 years before the next one. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, don't break tradition. There he is, John Kavanagh, stopping by, the head man over at SBG Ireland. A lot going on for him and his team, as always. And James Gallaher returning this Saturday, Bellator London, with that card headlined by Gegard Mousasi versus Rafael Lovato Jr. So great to have him in studio. That was a lot of fun. Covered a lot of ground. I really appreciate it. Congrats to him on the team on the win this past Friday for Dillon. Danis, we'll talk to him in a bit. But for now, let us go to our next guest and say hello to the man who will be facing Khabib Nurmagomedov on September 7th, UFC 242? 242, yes, in Abu Dhabi. It's Dustin Poirier, the interim lightweight champion, goes up against the official lightweight champion in a unification bout in Abu Dhabi. Dustin, how are you? Can you say that again? I didn't hear you there. I just want to make sure that the audience can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, now I got you. All right, thank you. Thank you for doing this, Dustin. Are you back home? You're no longer in London, correct? Oh, we may have lost him. Did we lose him? All right. Oh, maybe he's back. Maybe you got a call. Dustin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you may have gotten a call there. You are back home in you're in America, right? You're not in London still, correct?
No, I'm back home in Louisiana, God's country.
Okay, yes, that's right. And congratulations on getting the key. What was that like?
Oh man, it was awesome.
Oh,
My goodness.
good start.
It was awesome. It was awesome, Ariel. You know, it kind of came out of nowhere too. I didn't know that was going to happen. I was excited about it. Got to meet the mayor. Got to talk about some plans of future stuff we're going to do in Louisiana. So it's all good, man.
What does the key actually like get you? Like, does that allow you to do certain things, or is it just more of a symbolic thing?
Yeah, it's just more of a symbolic thing. You know, it's I don't know what it gets you. Maybe out of a speeding ticket.
Yes. Any truth to the rumor that Mr. Cormier tried to sabotage the whole thing and get it canceled because he was feeling jealous?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying to pull some strings behind the scenes, or, you know, he's salty. But whenever you living in wine country, you know,
he's a little bougie now. He has forgotten his roots, and clearly you haven't, and that's why you're getting the key to the city and representing the state so well. So like I said, you were in London for that press conference. What was your biggest takeaway from the press conference? First time you get to square off with Khabib, be in that environment. What did you walk away from the press conference with?
You know, Ariel, I've been doing this a long time, and I don't really take a whole lot from stare downs or, you know, confrontations or talking with people, but it was smooth. I felt like he had a lot of respect, and that was pretty much it, man.
That was actually my biggest takeaway. It does really feel like he has a lot of respect for you. Like he is not overlooking you or dismissing you as a threat to him. Did you get that impression as well?
Yeah, I think he knows the type of fighter I am, and he knows the way I push myself and would do anything for the victory. So he knows he's got a test ahead of him.
Why did this press conference happen in London?
I'm not 100%. I think maybe the start time of the show in Abu Dhabi, they might be targeting the European market.
Oh.
I'm not 100%, but that's what I think.
Will you have to go to Abu Dhabi to promote it as well?
I haven't heard anything about that. I hope not. We'll see.
Why do you hope not?
Because, dude, that's a long travel for a day of or for an hour press conference or whatever it'll be, you know?
Right. So with that in mind, prior to the fight, like when you're ready to actually go to the fight, how many days in advance will you go?
Thinking 10 days, but I'm actually leaving next week to start camp. And I'm going to talk to my team and sit down with everybody and try to get some stuff ironed out before we really get into it.
Okay. And so in the so now that you're back home in Louisiana, like will you still like is this technically like pre-camp for you? Are you still training? Are you still working, or do you only do like of course you're working out and things like that, but are you only doing fight specific things when you get to ATT?
Yeah, so right now I kind of would call I'm 12 weeks out. So right now I kind of call a pre-camp. I'm just kind of cleansing my body, drinking a lot of water. You know, eating healthier foods, and I'm going to do 2 weeks of that, and then 10 weeks of real training camp.
Is
just
it
prepping my body for?
Sorry, say it again.
Just kind of prepping my body for the workload that's about to come with these next 10 weeks.
Is it fair to say, I feel like it's maybe a crazy question or a silly question because it might be obvious to some, but do you feel like this is going to be the toughest training camp of your career just because of how good he is and what's at stake?
You know, every training camp is tough. This one's just going to be some different areas we haven't really had to focus on. Not that we've ignored these areas in the wrestling or mat grappling department. It's just been different fights. You know, my last few fights have just been different preparation. We aren't going to switch a whole lot up, but we're definitely going to be doing a lot more mat grappling and putting myself in uncomfortable positions with some bigger guys. I'm excited about it, man. These are the camps and fights you grow from, and that's what I'm all about, man, is improving.
Will you be bringing in anyone specific to help emulate his style?
We have a few great wrestlers already on the team, but we will bring in a couple more guys.
Anyone in particular that you can share?
One guy from Philadelphia, a guy named Sidney Outlaw. I went to Florida a few weeks ago and did a week of training just to stay sharp and stay honest. And he was in helping some guys, and I really felt like we meshed well. And I thought his level of, I think he's a Renzo Gracie black belt, but his level of wrestling and putting his jiu-jitsu together with his wrestling was incredible. He's a decently sized guy, very good technique. And we've asked him to come back in for me. I just felt really good work with him.
I saw that you were training with Steve Mocco. I feel like he's going to be a very valuable piece of your training camp.
Of course, Mocco will, as well as Muhammad Lawal. You know, King Mo is going to be part of this camp.
Oh, nice.
And I'm excited about it. You know, King Mo has experience with Khabib, but also a lot of experience with world-class wrestling and grappling.
Oh, that's fascinating because we had King Mo on the show last week, and of course he retired. He said he's going to be a part of the coaching staff at ATT. I think he's one of the most brilliant minds in the game. I think that he's going to be a great coach. I think he could be an analyst as well. And he actually trained with Khabib at AKA while he was there?
Yeah. Well, what's crazy about this whole thing coming full circle is probably about 4 or 5 years ago, King Mo told me, he said, Dustin, I'm telling you, you're going to be the one to beat Khabib. And this was years and years and years ago. I wasn't even in the position to even talk about fighting the guy.
Wow. That is insane. Why did he say that? Did you ever ask him?
Because I'm the best in the world, Ariel. Why do you think?
I was just wondering if there was like a style that you had or something that he saw in you that he thought you'd be the kryptonite.
Yeah, I think just the way I put everything together. My jiu-jitsu and grappling is underrated. Sometimes I put myself in bad positions, like I can say in the Eddie Alvarez fight, but I'm just so comfortable, like jumping guillotines and stuff like that. I know my fight IQ says don't do it, but my trust in myself says have fun and stuff like that. You know, people see that on the inside of camps and know how good I am and know what I'm capable of. So I'm excited, man. Mike Brown, Steve Mocco, Muhammad Lawal, we're going to be wrestling for the next 10 weeks.
Will King Mo be in your corner?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. I need to get to camp, like I said, and iron out all the details about the travel, my corner.
Okay.
And we'll see, but he could be.
Okay, wow, that would be interesting as well. It's interesting also because in MMA these days, it's very rare that you finish a fight and you know who's next because there's so much politics involved. And back in the day, you fight and then you know who's the number one contender. You move on, you defend your title, etc. In your case, kind of a throwback situation. You knew the night you won against Max Holloway who was next. You knew that it was Khabib, and so that was April. By the time you fight, it's 5 months. And so, and now you just saw him, but you're still 12 weeks away. Do you find that you have to like talk to yourself about not getting too amped up, not pushing yourself too much so that you don't, run out of gas too early in the process?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I fought Max, started preparing for Khabib.
Oh, I may have lost him there.
Probably hurting and just tired. And, I've been doing this a long time, like I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
We lost you briefly, but now you're back.
Yeah, I said if I would have started preparing for Khabib as soon as I finished the fight with Max, that would have been too early. I would have burned myself out. But this isn't my first rodeo, and I'm kind of starting to balance everything a little bit better. And I think 2 weeks pre-camp, 10 weeks hard camp, training camp is the perfect. My whole career has prepared me for this fight.
Did you have any concerns that someone would, cut you off, that Conor would come in, that Ferguson would come in, that something would happen that would stop you from getting this opportunity? Were you at all worried at any point?
I wasn't worried, so to say, but I know this is a crazy sport and nothing's for sure until we're punching each other and the cage is locked, But I also had faith in the organization that, that's what interim belts mean. I'm next.
I know there was a big negotiation with Khabib to get this fight done. Was there a negotiation with you as well?
I flew in last Monday and sat down with Dana and Hunter and Sean and kind of spoke about this whole situation and everything, but we're happy to go. We're good to go. Everything's signed and the fight's on, man.
Okay. So is this a meeting that you called?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you unhappy with something?
No, I wasn't unhappy. I just wanted to iron some stuff out and talk. And I'm a pay-per-view partner now. I wanted to just sit down and talk about the whole situation.
Okay. Because you're champion, you want those points.
I earned those points.
Yeah, you have. Why, were they not giving it to you initially?
No, they were.
Okay, fair enough.
I just had a couple questions about the whole new ESPN structure and the way the landscape of the pay-per-view has changed over the last few months. Okay. I just wanted to sit down and talk to these guys and express the way I felt, and they had no problem. They sat down with me. I flew from the East Coast to Vegas. We had a meeting, probably lasted an hour, and then I flew to London to the press conference. So everybody's good to go, man. I
because there was I don't know if you saw this, a rumor that like one half of the deal wasn't done, and that, and he was talking about it. So that led people to believe that maybe you weren't in, but none of that was really true. You just wanted to sit down and iron some things out. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly. I just wanted to have a couple questions answered, ask them a few questions, pick their brain about some
Okay. Do you have any
situations with new pay-per-view?
Yeah. Do you have any concerns about this being in Abu Dhabi at all?
No, but the time change and the dry climate is going to be different than Florida for sure. But other than that, man, wherever they set that octagon up is going to be my home. So I'm not worried about anything.
Is it going to be outdoors?
No, I heard it's going to be inside. I believe it might be an arena built inside of a huge outdoor arena, possibly.
Whoa, that's wild. Because the first time they were there, it was outdoors, and they just built like a makeshift arena. But this will be covered because it was very sweaty. It was like very muggy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I heard this one, and it's really hot.
Yeah.
So I heard this is going to be indoor arena.
Okay. Did you watch the Ferguson Cerrone fight?
I did.
What did you think?
I was pumped about that fight, man.
What did you think of Ferguson's performance?
I honestly think that guy gets it done because when he's locked in on the fight, he's in it to the death. He's so mentally strong when he commits his mind to something, I believe. Technically, I don't see anything crazy special, the guy's a great fighter, but I just think his belief in himself is what's carried him through this win streak, and the fact that he's been able to beat guys who I believe are technically better fighters. He just outfights them. You can be so good at a certain thing, but on fight night, that 15 minutes or that 25 minutes is all that matters, and he knows how to lock in.
Are you starting to get the sense, Dustin, that we're moving away from the quote-unquote money fight era? Because I noticed Khabib talk about like, oh, Conor's going to have to win a few fights before he can talk about me. Ferguson saying, I want, a title shot next. There you are getting that title shot. Do you feel like this period that we were in a couple of years ago where people were just kind of jumping around to try to get the most money possible, regardless of what's at stake or if a belt's on the line, whatever, we're moving away from that and we're going back to an older time where it's like, all right, I want to be the champion because if I'm the champion, I'm going to get paid the most. That's the way it should be.
I hope so, but I'm sure there's going to be guys here and there who try to sell tickets by acting crazy and stuff. But I don't know if we are moving, we will never fully be far removed from it. It's always going to be right there.
Right. What a story it would be, though. I mean, I can't, just thinking about it kind of gives me chills. Imagine you beat Khabib, you're the first guy to beat him, you get that belt, let's say you go through Tony Ferguson, and some way, somehow, you rematch Conor after all these years as champion, the revenge from UFC 178. I mean, you couldn't script a better story than that, right? I mean, I know that fight meant a lot to you and you weren't happy with how it went and you wanted that back. That's an amazing story. I feel like the stars could align here for you if possible.
It could, man. The beautiful thing is it's all in my hands.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, and I do imagine stuff like that happening. But none of that happens without me being victorious September 7th. So that's all I'm focused on right now, honestly. That's where all my energy is going. And I'm just going to show the world. I'm going to shock the world. I'm going to be the undisputed world champion, man.
Last thing, I know it's early, but have you already, do you foresee an ending? Is there, I know you like to think about these things, has a specific ending continued to creep into your thoughts?
I haven't had, I'm sure I will as we get further into camp, but I just have a feeling I'm going to finish this guy. I'm not only going to beat him, I'm going to stop him.
Wow. What a scene that would be. Unbelievable. Thanks for doing this, Dustin. I really appreciate it. Great stuff at the press conference. It was not your typical, theatrics, but it was honestly a breath of fresh air. It was nice to watch. It was good to see the respect between the two of you. I appreciate you doing it. Good luck out there in Florida, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, man. My pleasure coming on. Sorry about dropping the phone 10 times.
No problem. It's all good. There he is, Dustin Poirier, interim lightweight champion, number one contender, of course, at 155, the man who will face Khabib Nurmagomedov in the title unification bout on September 7th in Abu Dhabi. Wow. What a scene that is going to be. That's going to be incredible. All right, so that's Dustin Poirier's story. Now let's move along to the man we were just talking about with John Kavanagh. Dillon Danis picked up his second pro victory on Friday at Madison Square Garden. I do believe he is joining us now via the magic of FaceTime. There he is. Ooh, crystal clear FaceTime for Mr. Danis. Dillon, how are you?
Hey man, how you doing?
Why do I get so much hate, Dillon, when I have you on the show? Why do I get bombarded with hatred? Why is this? You're such a lovely fellow. You're a mama's boy. People, I mean, you're a mensch. Why do people not like you?
I don't know. I think it's good though. I think I have a lot of engagement on any post or anything that it is. Like it's crazy. Like it could just be a picture of me freaking eating a slice of pizza and people will be like, "Oh, what the fuck? That pizza shit." Something. People hate me for like everything, but I think it's a good problem to have. I think it would be a problem if no one cared, So
right.
I think it's a good problem.
That's essentially what your coach just told me around half an hour ago. Were you always like that, by the way? Like even as a kid, did kids just love to hate you?
I think I was just always kind of like a troll, and I kind of like to fuck with people and stuff like that. I don't know if everybody hated me, but the teachers hated me. That's for sure. All the teachers hated me because I was just a troublemaker. I was a troublemaker. I didn't listen. I didn't do my homework. I was just always like this. So the teachers definitely hated me, and it's funny to see them now, and be like how successful I am and everything. But back then, they didn't think I was going to do anything, so it's cool.
You ever hear from any of them?
Here and there, I have, and then I kind of still hold a grudge a little bit to certain ones and stuff like that. Even I had teachers and stuff tell my mom "Oh, if he doesn't go to college, he's never going to be anybody" and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's kind of fun for them to see everything,
Well, things are working out well. You picked up your second pro victory on Friday. I do have to ask, because we spoke about it immediately afterwards, how is your knee feeling?
Terrible. So bad. Oh, it's so bad. I'm in excruciating pain, the past 3 days. It's been so bad. It feels like I can't move it. It's swollen. it's like it feels like someone's stabbing me in the knee over and over again. It's like really bad. But the only reason I'm getting through it though is with the wind. It doesn't. That takes all the pain away. So I'm just hoping it'll get better soon.
Have you gone and checked it out?
No, not yet. I mean, I know what's wrong with it. I tore the LCL, but I deal with knee injuries before. I don't have an ACL, MCL, and meniscus, so I'm kind of just used to it.
What do you mean you don't have an ACL?
Yeah, I don't have all 3 ligaments.
Really? In the same knee?
Yeah, and now I have no LCL. So
that's the left,
crazy,
correct?
Yeah.
Is it possible you made it worse on Friday?
I would think so. I mean, I was in the back and I was like warming up with the takedowns, and I felt it rip again. And then I was like, all right, you know what? There's no time to think about this. Just pretend like it didn't happen. I just kept warming up, and I was like, fuck. And then if you watch the fight, you could see I didn't put my left hook in after, like when I had the guy's back, or I didn't put my left hook in at all. And then one time I went for the body triangle and I had to let it go right away. I felt like my knee was gonna explode. It was funny because like in the lead, when I got hurt, everybody was like, man, you're not gonna feel it, the Joe and this and that. And then I was in the fight, I was like, oh, these motherfuckers lied to me. I feel this so bad, But yeah.
Were you freaking out?
I definitely did worse than I wasn't freaking out. Like when I was just making sure, like I was thinking and I was like, oh, we got to finish him in the first round, because I was like, I might not be able to stand after this, so just make sure you finish him, But then once the fight ended, it's like a shot of another adrenaline. So like I was able to kind of, come up and just deal with the interview and stuff.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like you'll probably need surgery, correct?
No, I mean, like even when I did my MCL and all that, they were just like, you could do surgery or you could do rehab and just build the muscles around the knee, and it builds it like it kind of makes its own ligament kind of in a way, like the knee, the muscles kind of, you have to strengthen the certain ones and the knee kind of stabilizes. So I think I'll just do that.
Wow. Okay. So, like, what are you thinking timeline wise for your next fight?
I think maybe October. I think I want to get 2 more before the end of the year, maybe October, December, or maybe, I don't know. I definitely want to fight twice. We'll see how long this takes to heal, but I definitely want to fight 2 more times.
You want to make up for lost time? Because, I was talking to Scott after the fight, Scott Coker, and he was saying that he thinks you have a high ceiling. He just wants you to be more active. Your last fight was a year ago. Of course, you had the suspension and all that stuff, but would you like to be more active as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the one thing I feel like I'm lacking is the ring time, because it's so much different once you're in there, like without fighting amateur or anything like that. This is my second fight in MSG on a comeback where I was off for almost a year. So everybody talks about UFC jitters and stuff. Like, this is way bigger than UFC jitters. There's guys that get UFC jitters that are on like the undercard with no one watching. So if anything, I'm the one that has to deal with all that jitters and shit like that. And I go out there and I make it look easy every time.
So I thought it was fascinating, as I mentioned to John and in my my random thoughts column today, that they had you and Aaron Pico on the same card, because in one breath I see people saying that Bellator ruined Aaron Pico by giving him these ranked and tough opponents, so to speak. And then in the next breath, I see people saying that they're protecting you too much, that they're not giving you, tough enough opponents. What's your take on all of that? Because it does seem a little bit hypocritical. I feel like there's look, if Aaron Pico wants to go that way, cool, more power to you. If you want to get the tough, but the way you're going, to me, is the way. Like, if I was your manager, I'd tell you to go that way. If you're a boxing prospect, you're going your way as well. Like, you're not fighting ranked guys in your second pro fight. So I don't understand what all the hysteria is about.
Just a couple points I have on that. Like, the
Please.
first one, I think for Pico is, I feel bad for him because, he's young. He's 22, 21, and he's been knocked out a couple times now. And I think that's the thing that you have to worry about besides him losing. Is like, you shouldn't be getting knocked out like that multiple times at the young age. And think about it, he'll probably be fighting for 10, 15 more years. And, it's scary to see, with CTE and stuff like that. So I think that he needs to calm it down, take time in between fights. And obviously I'm not his coach or a doctor or anything. That's the one thing I would be worried about, though. He's so young and he's probably getting crazy sparring in the gym. He looks like the kind of guy that goes really hard in the gym. He's taking a lot of damage to his brain. He has to realize that he's going to be fighting for 10, 15 more years. It's not, he just got knocked out his last fight and he's coming back right away. And now he got knocked out again in less than a year. So I think that's one thing that he needs to think about, because he's so good, And then I think for me, I mean, I fought a guy that had 30 fights. I have 1 fight. So like, how am I being protected? Like, I don't know. I think that's a little bit of a bullshit thing. And I think that Pico should take his time and do it differently. I mean, there's no reason for him to be rushing. and it kind of ruins his aura too. I mean, now down the line when he's getting big fights, you know, you're gonna see the ones that he got knocked out, and it's not gonna like build up as he could have. You know, if he came out and he was 10-0 and he was fighting for the world championship, it would be a lot different. You know, he's 3-4 now, or 4-3. I don't know his record, but
4-3.
It takes the, you know, the hype and everything out of it.
And so I know you talk about John Jones and Rory McDonald and all these things, but realistically, how many more before we're talking ranked opponents in your mind?
I think on my fourth fight, I would like to fight someone. I really want to fight John Fitch. So I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm ready for it now. It's the point of obviously doing it right too. So I mean, what's the point in jumping in right away? I mean, 2 more fights, I'll be done in the air, and then keep going from there. So I'm ready to take them all on. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't need to like rush anything because time will tell. You know.
So Fitch, you think, you know, like you're ready for a guy like that next?
I think 1 or 2. I mean, obviously next I know I could do it, but I just know my coaches and stuff, and I think it's good to build up and then go from there. But I mean, I think Fitch would be an easy fight for me.
What did you make of Roy's performance against Nieman Gracie?
It was good. I mean, that Rory is not the same Rory that was the UFC Rory. You know, he doesn't look the same. He couldn't finish a guy that has no striking, and his jiu-jitsu is not that. I mean, Nailman's jiu-jitsu is not that crazy. So I thought actually it was a decent performance. You know, I don't know. I think it's a good performance for what you came off with John Fitch, but in the general performance standpoint, I don't think it was that good.
Really? Okay, because I thought it was a better performance in the Fitch fight.
Yeah.
I mean, Nieman's tough, right? I know you don't. Okay, maybe I said that to the wrong guy.
I mean, he's tough. He's good, and he was on the undefeated streak, but his jiu-jitsu is not like what everybody thinks it is. So
overrated.
Yeah, I would say overrated.
Now, what was it like, Dillon? This is the biggest question of them all. What was it like having your significant other in attendance, watching you for the first time? That's the first time she's seen you compete, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was funny in the back. My knee was killing me, and my best friend was there, and he was like, "Man, you gonna lose it for your girlfriend?" I was like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "You know what? You're gonna lose it for your girlfriend." He's like, I was dying because my knee was like in the back. I couldn't even stand, you know. So it was actually pretty funny. Yeah, but it was really cool to have her there, and it adds a different kind of emotion to everything. Especially you have your mom there, you have your family, and then you have her there. It's like, you know what I mean. So it's like kill or be killed once you get in there.
Were you a little more nervous because she was there? You wanted to impress her?
I guess you kind of think about this stuff, but man, once you get in there, everything like I don't see anybody. So, but yeah, I guess it kind of runs through your head like what you're gonna be like, think of it and everything like that. But yeah, it's cool.
Does your girlfriend and mom, do they get along?
I think so. I don't know. I can't tell. I think they
what do you
are.
Mean you can't tell?
I mean, no, like obviously they're not gonna show it, but I think they do get along. You know, we went to dinner after the fight and stuff, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, I think they do get along.
Did you get a breakdown of your fight from Conor? And if so, what did he say about it?
Yeah, I did actually he messaged me right away. I'm pretty sure he was watching live, and he was saying how more comfortable on I looked on the feet and stuff like that, and he was just like, that's light work, you know, like easy work. So, yeah, he was very complimentary towards the performance, and he's saying like, look, this guy has 30 fights, and you know, I don't have any amateur background. I went in there and I made it look easy, and MSG where all my fans were. All my friends, and I went out there laughing basically. So I think one of my best traits that I have is that I can handle pressure so well, and I'm really excited to keep fighting.
Any BJJ stuff coming up, or are you going to take a break from that?
I'm fighting ADCC in September.
Oh, that's still happening.
Yeah. So
despite the knee,
I should be fine by then. I'm pretty good at healing and taking care of myself. So I really want to do ADCC though. So I'm banking on my knee getting better.
Okay, and then maybe a month after that, if all goes well, your third fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not joking. Like, it's gonna be a different level, man. Like I'm telling you, I'm gonna be the best fighter in the world. So I can't wait. Even just like this weekend, I knew going in how much better I was than this guy, and like in the back, I was talking to Big John, and I was like, yeah, this guy's like 16 fights. He's like, dude, you don't understand. This guy fought like every weekend. I reffed him 30 times and this and that. And he was like, you got to be careful for experience. I was like, I don't think you realize how good I am. Like, it's not going to matter, you know, how many fights he has. Like, it's a different level. So I'm really excited, man.
I hear you when you say you're going to be one of the best, if not the best. Apparently, John Jones doesn't believe that you will be anywhere near that. What did he say? Mark my words, this man will never be a champion. Was that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said.
What's up
it's
with
crazy
that?
He's crazy that he's like a kid. He blocked me on Instagram, and he's like saying on other posts of me, like, first of all, I don't think he's even blocked DC. Like, I called the man a bitch. Like, he's a grown ass man. He's upset I called him a bitch.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. I offered to do the grappling match with him. So, I mean, let's do it if you really think, like, all this stuff. I don't know. I think even though we fought in MMA, I feel like from his stance and the way how tall he is, I feel like if I did like an Imanari roll, I would take his leg home with me.
In MMA?
Yeah, why not?
Despite the 35-pound difference in weight when you're weighing in.
Yeah, but I mean, I come from jiu-jitsu where we fight the biggest guy. Like, I've fought in guys that are like 300 pounds in jiu-jitsu, and you have to do it. So, and I fought 7 of them in the same day. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm a different kind of martial artist. I've been doing this since I was, a kid, training with anybody and anybody and anywhere. So, yeah.
By the way, I have to ask, what did you make of Nevada reducing the suspensions for Abu Bakr and Zubaira?
It's crazy, huh? Man, I don't know. I feel like everything's just politics. I guess it's really weird. I feel like I think something's going on, and then something else goes on. It's a bunch of bullshit. I don't know. It's crazy to even think about.
Yeah, and now they're both going to fight on that Abu Dhabi card.
It's crazy, man. I don't even know what to say about it. It's fucked up though. But man, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. They jumped in the cage and were punching someone behind the back of the head. Like, you know what I mean? You don't. That's like the most coward move you could do is like hitting someone behind the head. It's like, I don't know. They're a bunch of cowards.
Well, congratulations on the win, Dillon. A great performance.
It's crazy. I think I feel like this cross promotion thing is getting closer and closer, and I really think that it's gonna happen. I really think that me and Ben Askren are gonna fight.
Oh,
I really do think so. I think it's gonna happen. I for some reason, like, I was talking to Coker, and they were like talking about cross promotion, and he's open to do it with the UFC, and like, man, I really think that like if Ben Askren wants to do it, it's gonna happen. So I think it's on him.
Okay, so the ball's in his court. You're saying Bellator is willing. Ben has to step up to the plate.
I signed that wrestling match with him. I was going to do the wrestling match with him.
Yeah?
He didn't want to do it, so I offered to do a grappling match with him. He didn't want to do it. He knows what's up.
Okay.
He was shitting his pants watching my fight.
Did he comment on your fight? I didn't see.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't put my name in it. But he was just like, "Oh, they put amateurs on the main card," or some funny, like, stupid shit like that. But yeah, at least he's talking about me.
You want the date, you want the time, you'll be there. You're ready. It's on him. Yeah. You're saying ball's in his court.
I'm telling you, man, I think this cross promotion thing is big. I really think it's gonna happen.
All right. You heard it here first. Dillon Danis, Ben Askren, coming soon. I appreciate that little nugget at the end there, Dillon. Get well soon, my man. Congratulations on the victory, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one, Ariel.
You too. There he is, Dillon Danis. Picked up his second pro victory with a torn LCL. Looking forward to seeing his progression in the sport. All right, let's move along now and say hello to a man who has been in the news as of late, Justin Willis, no longer on the UFC roster. He is a guy who fans have been wondering about, wondering what happened, wondering where he went. There he is, Big Pretty himself with a big smile on his face. He appears to be in good spirits. Justin, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. You seem happy.
I'm always happy.
You are. You have a wonderful smile, and it's great to talk to you. It's great to have you on the show. So, Justin, let's clear something up right here now. Why did you get released from the UFC? Do you hear me? Justin?
Yo.
Did you hear me there? Apparently.
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay, let me try that again. I wanted to clear something up. Why did you get released from the UFC?
What happened was I only wanted one fight, and that fight is Tata Besa. That's one reason. Two reason is I wanted to get my weight under control and actually come in a lot more fitter, a lot more quicker, a lot more everything. That's number 2. Number 3 is I wanted a chance to actually go through a camp with DC. He fights August 14th. So my date that they gave me originally with Walt Harris is not about the guy's names necessarily. It's about more so of the date. And the date was August, somewhere around when DC fights, so that I actually able to go through a full camp with him as well.
Okay. And so, all right. So sometimes, you get offered a fight, the schedules don't line up. You don't get released. Why'd you get released?
Hey, we'll be political here. I don't know. It's one of those things where, I try not to make sense of nonsense, that does nothing but, makes everybody go crazy, So I just, keep on preparing, keep on staying to my that on previously, and that was just preparing. That's it. As soon as the news came out that the UFC was trying to cut me, I got offers on top of offers that came in immediately. But that's not what I really wanted. What I really want is Tai Tavesa's head on my wall.
Okay, but you are no longer on the UFC roster, correct?
Honestly, I don't know what's going on right now. So that's between them and my management. We have some stuff working out right now, and that's between the UFC and my management. So I'm letting them take care of all that stuff.
Are you hopeful that this can be saved, that your career in the UFC will be salvaged?
The only salvage, bro, I was 4-1 and lost to the number 3 guy. Hats off to. I'm a guy where I'm gracious in winning and I'm gracious in losing. I lost to the number 3 guy. So this guy Tai Tavesa is losing to everybody. So like I said before, none of this stuff makes sense. It really does not make sense at all.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I'm not saying you don't deserve to be in the UFC. Clearly you do. I meant to try to patch this up so that you can come back and fight for them.
Oh, yeah. And like I keep saying, there's only one person I want. One person.
Yeah.
This is personal. He's been meow, 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 meow. And now it's time for the Roosters to come home and act. Let's get it.
Where does this come from, you and Ty? I got his side of the story recently. Actually, I have the clip. I want to play it for everyone. I asked him about you recently, and then I want to get your side of the story because I see you guys on Instagram going back and forth in each other's comments incessantly. Every time someone posts about something, the other guy is responding. Here's Ty a couple of weeks ago talking about his issue with Justin Willis. Well, where did this problem start between you two?
It started between just him and Mark, really. Like, he was just, when he was at the weigh-ins and stuff, he's growling like a dog that he is. And just, yeah, just doing stupid shit. And it's just real rude and just arrogant. I don't know. I just don't like it. If I see him, he knows what's up.
What would happen?
We'll see.
Oh. You know what would happen. You just don't want to tell us.
I don't talk too much. When I see him, I'll see him.
Okay. Well, I wish we had a camera on you here. Justin Willis is just dying of laughter. Look at him. He was cracking up the whole time. What? What's happening?
I will kill you.
So what is...
Right now, all that talking... Listen, man.
Okay.
Okay. Him doing all that talking. All I want is simple yes or no. That's it. That's all. That's all the fans want to hear. If it's a no, I will just go about my merry way. But don't ever put my name in your mouth again. If it's a yes, let's get it. That's it, that's all.
So, but Justin, isn't it hard to get a yes if you're not on the roster? How are you going to get that fight?
All he got to do is say yes, and his wish will come true. Come on, man. We know how this goes, man. This is a business. I'm a businessman, so it's he. Well, maybe not, but But you get what I'm saying, Ariel.
Right, I got you.
Okay, this is a business. This is business.
What did you think of his last performance a couple of weeks ago in Chicago?
He comes out. He does fight. He's just not good at it. He's exciting when it comes to the simple fact that, he's like a rock'em sock'em robot, right? But, again, I'm a martial artist. And I'm coming back with a vengeance because my last performance was not up to my standard. And, again, all I can do, there's no excuses coming from me at all. I just know that the next motherfucker is going to pay. And he's the next motherfucker. So let's stop all this theatrics, all this hoopla, and let's get it cracking.
Can you clear something else up for me here for a second, Justin? Okay, there you are. We had Curtis Blades on the show after your fight, and he said that you brought someone to come try to mess with him in the hotel. And all, what happened there? What's the story there? Okay,
so the guy who he's talking to or referring to in this situation, he's one of the guys who are my teammates. The guy came with his own accord. Him and Curtis Blades had beef previous.
Okay.
After I hands on Curtis again, I released that video. And that video was essentially him walking up to Curtis Blades like a man and saying, after you and Justin fight, let's spar. It was innocent. He took it like the bitch that he is.
Oh.
And he went and he ran and that last. You hear me?
Yeah, it's actually cutting in and out.
Hello?
It's hard to hear you, and I want to get your side of the story here. So could we call Justin on the phone? Is that possible? Okay, we're gonna call you on the phone because.
Hold on. Let's see if you can get better. Hold on.
Okay. I appreciate your willingness.
Yep.
I believe you're at AKA. I see the signage. Okay, you want to try here? You think this is a better spot?
You hear me now?
I hear you now, yeah. It looks good. Let's try this.
Okay, so we were at the hotel, and the beef that he had was previous, even before our fight even got announced. The man that he's referring to came on his own accord, and he approached Curtis Blades in the lobby, and he said, Curtis Blades, after you and Justin fight, how about me and you spar? It's an innocent video. After I get done with Ty, and me and Blaze are going to end up meeting again. And when we meet again, I'm going to release this video just to show how much of a pussy he truly is. He had the whole fucking SWAT team come to my door before the 2 days before our fight. Because he was acting scared. Threatened them. I have the video.
Wow. Okay. Well, why did that guy go up to him?
So he was. That's between him and God.
Oh, okay.
I didn't tell him to do anything that was not on my accord. On everything I love.
I got you. All right. So you're saying you had nothing to do with this, and he's blaming you.
There was no threat. There was nothing. You got a guy that's playing innocent, playing victim. It's one of those things where, two-man beef has nothing to do with me.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you clearing that up. Where will your next fight be, Justin? Do you think that you'll fight? Are you getting offers from other places if this Thai thing doesn't work out? What do you think?
So there's only one real option. I mean, in all reality, Ty Vesa has to fight. The guy is on a 2-fight losing skid. What other option does he have besides the guy who just fought Jack Swagger? Or he can fight the guy Charlie Zelenoff or shit. Fuck it, Ariel. He'll fucking fight you. Who they gonna line him up with? I'm the biggest this UFC has when it comes to Tai Tuivasa. That's a reality.
All right. And how much do you want to weigh? Like, how much weight do you want to lose?
Next time I step on the scale, it's gonna be between 255 and about 258, 259.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I hope this gets worked out, Justin. I thought you had a good run there up until the Curtis fight. That happens. You know, it wasn't your night, and I would love to see that fight because you guys are going back and forth on Instagram. There's got to be a payoff here. So,
hey, hashtag running.
Much love, Justin.
Hey, take care, brother.
All right, my man. There he is, Justin Willis, big pretty. I appreciate him stopping by, and it's an interesting story. Wanted a little more time to get fit, lose weight, and be in the best shape. And for whatever reason, it seems like the UFC wasn't willing to wait and cut ties. But he's got this fight, he's got this opportunity, and this grudge match with Tai Tuivasa, and there's definitely bad blood there. So curious to see if they try to they reverse course and try to actually make the fight happen. I know that Corporate Jake wants, more of the limelight these days, but he's ignoring me when I'm telling him. Corporate Jake, can I talk to you for a second? I hear you on the loudspeaker. We all hear you in here. Do you know this, right? I know you're trying to one up New York Rick, but I just want to let you know that there's a speaker on here. So when you tell me that like someone's coming, I don't mind, but just in case, I don't want you to say anything and get in trouble. I'm looking out for you. You understand this, correct? I want Corporate Jake to speak for himself here. Was he all of a sudden he's shy? I'm trying to make you into a star here, Corporate Jake, and you get voice of God to do your business? Unbelievable. Oh, New York Rick has chimed in. He will never one-up me. Never. Well, there you go. There you have it. Case closed. And there we have it. All right. Well, let's move along here now that we settled all of that and say hello to our next guest. She is making her debut on the program. Unfortunately, I understand it's not under the best of circumstances, but she is, in my opinion, one of the top prospects in the sport, regardless of weight class, regardless of gender. She is Macy Chiasson. She's a former Ultimate Fighter winner. She is undefeated, and she now joins us via the magic of Skype. Macy, how are you doing? Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me. I think I'm doing as best as I will, as far as the circumstances go.
Well, and I certainly understand where you're coming from, and I appreciate you joining us. And I know life is a little bit upside down right now, so thank you very much for the time and for coming on the show. Could you tell us what happened? I think it was around like 9 or so days ago.
Yeah, last Sunday. I'd been home for probably around 20 minutes, and my backyard is basically the construction site that was going on next to the apartment complex, and so whenever they do construction over there, it's usually like my alarm. They start at 5 a.m. and then they don't stop till 8 p.m. But they never do construction on a Sunday. So, I'd just gotten home and then I heard a little bit of noise outside. And I was like, there's no way they're doing construction today. And as I told myself that, something just hit the building and started to fall through each floor. And when I heard that noise, I looked at my dog and I was like, we got to go. I didn't know what it was exactly until I got outside, but we had to basically just abandon everything and run. And once I got outside, I just realized what happened. And it was kind of one of those moments like, oh my God,
Wow. And we're looking at photos of this right now. That is, and what floor are you on?
I'm on the first floor, like right underneath where the crane is.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm on that very bottom floor, but the outside of it doesn't look nearly as bad as what basically the inside of it looked like. There was just the whole parking garage caved in. There were apartments that were non-existent. There were people that were asking for help and no one could get to them. It was just one of those experiences where you wish you could do something for people who were trapped and there was nothing you could do.
And to the best of my knowledge, someone did pass away?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And who is that?
I believe her name's Kirsten. She was 29 years old, and she passed away. There's several people who were critical in the hospital, I believe still, and a lot of people sustained some pretty serious injuries. So, it just was one of the most random, crazy experiences that I'd ever been in my life. And I've been in some crazy experience, I've been in some crazy stuff, and it was horrific. It was really tragic.
Did you know Kristen?
No, I never met her. I mean, I've seen her a few times, but we lived on 2 different floors, so it was one of those things where I just might have said hi, but I didn't personally know her.
Okay. And luckily for you, you were able to get your dog, and to the best of my knowledge, you didn't suffer any serious injuries?
No, I had to glue my foot. Everyone was running outside barefoot. I mean, no one was expecting something like that to happen. So people were just running outside. A lot of people didn't have any shirts on. I mean, people were in their Sunday clothes, just relaxing clothes. There was a few people that were in just a sports bra and spandex. A lot of people were stepping in glass, which is what happened to me when I ran out. I mean, giant shards of glass in people's feet. Yeah.
Did you need to go to the hospital?
I did go and get it checked. It went in there pretty deep, but it wasn't a very large cut, and we were just able to, kind of remove whatever was in there and glue it back. So I wasn't able to train I didn't train at all last week. I just got back to training.
So since you said that you're on the first floor, what does your apartment look like now?
I don't know. Once I left, I was never allowed to go back in.
Really?
Yeah. So
you can't even get if your wallet so what's there?
Yeah. That was a lot of people's thing. I was just like, can you at least just go in there and get my wallet? Can you get my wallet? Get my birth certificate? I mean, literally everything I own is in there. I have no wallet. I had to come back home and get a new ID. I had to get a new social security card. I had to get a new birth certificate. I mean, I lost everything. All I had on was a pair of jean shorts and a tank top.
Wow. I'm so sorry. That is, and will you ever be allowed to go back and get that stuff?
No.
Really? Why not?
You ask them. I guess the structure is just too unstable. I mean, the building sustained a lot of damage, and I guess it's a little too risky to go back in for stuff like that. There's a lot of people who can't even go and get their pets. I mean, thankfully I had just gotten home, and I mean, if my dog would be dead right now. She would have starved. So OSHA's doing an investigation right now still, so they're not able to remove the crane. There's a lot of stuff going on as far as lawsuits go and whatnot.
Are you suing them?
Yes, I am.
And who are you suing?
We're suing the apartment complex and the crane company, because the apartment complex hired the crane company, and they also owned the construction next door, because Gracie is building, which is the apartment complex. Gracie, they're building another complex next door to the one I was living in, and they hired a company that's had multiple citations with negligence to cranes. So I'm not the only one who's doing such thing. I mean, there are a lot of people. There's 500 people who are homeless now, who do not have homes and have to relocate. I mean, most of the people on the other side of the complex were able to go and get their stuff, but I mean, specifically the area I was in, we're not allowed to go back in. We can't get any of our things.
And you would guess that around 500 people live in that building?
Yes.
My God, that is horrible. And yeah, I don't think you have to justify. So, I mean, this is a life-altering and potentially life-threatening accident. Right. And how long had you lived there?
I haven't even been there a year yet.
Okay.
So someone's trying to take me out, apparently.
Well, was there ever any, because you said there's a lot of construction, was there ever any time where it seemed like a little unsafe, or you were worried about something like this, or did it just come out of nowhere?
I mean, there were times where, I would see the crane and I'm like, that would be horrific if something like that fell, but you would never expect, with as much construction that goes on in the world, you would never expect something like that to happen, especially next to a residential area. You would expect people to do their jobs correctly and making sure that things are secure the right way, and certain things aren't locked under certain circumstances, because the weather has been bad, but that crane supposed to withstand a lot of wind, and the wind wasn't, mean, the weather was bad, but it wasn't enough to knock a whole crane over. I mean, there was 50 cranes up in Dallas that day, and one happened to fall. It doesn't make sense to me.
And so again, and I don't mean to belabor the point, but I'm just curious, like, so all your clothes, everything you have there, all gone?
Everything's gone.
Wow.
Everything.
And so where are you right now?
I'm at my parents' house.
And where's
in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay, and that was in Dallas, correct?
Yeah, I was in Dallas because I moved there to train at Fortis MMA with those guys, and so now I had to come back home and basically, regroup and get back on my feet before I can go back and look for another place.
Do you plan on going back to Dallas?
Yes, 100%. I love New Orleans, but it's just not ideal for me to stay here. The training is amazing at Fortis.
How are you dealing with all of this mentally? I mean, this is, like I said, life altering, and you seem to be okay now, 9 days later, but people can say all that they want about material things, possessions. Right. This stuff affects you. It's not fun. How are you doing?
Well, I mean, talking to people, being around people, I just have a way of kind of coping with things in that sort of manner. But, when I'm by myself, it's one of those things where, like, I can't believe this happened to me, and especially as good as everything's going, with fighting and training, and just something like this to kind of get in the way and just knock me down a few steps. I mean, people don't realize that when you go through something like that, it is almost post-traumatic stress. And I mean, thankfully I have really good friends here, and my coach is an amazing person. He's really been there for me. But I don't really know. I mean, emotions are weird. Sometimes you'll have a day where you don't think about it and you're having a great day, and the next time, in training, you might start feeling something. So it's just it's been a little rocky, but we're going to work through it.
And the coach that you were referring to was Saif Saud, right?
Saif, yes.
Yes, who's becoming one of the top coaches in the sport and getting a lot of recognition. The team that you have over there at Fortis doing great things. And you are coming off a win yourself, and you are undefeated, like I said, and on quite a roll. And I'm just curious if I can ask a fighting question, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. Do you plan on sticking around at 135, or was that just, because I feel like 145 is kind of there for the taking for you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone's saying. Oh, 145 is open. I enjoy fighting at 35. I feel my best at 35, and we're on a good run right now. So I don't see any point of moving to 45 at the moment. Maybe somewhere down the line, maybe after a title shot here or there, but we're willing to do something like that. But 135 is definitely home for me. I feel great at the weight.
Before all this happened, did you know when you would be able to return? Did you have your next fight yet?
No, we didn't have anything lined up, and we really would like to fight in September. But this is, I mean, I'm unable to fight last minute. If I have to be a replacement, I'm not home. I'm not in Dallas. I'm not with my camp, and I mean, I do have training here, but it's not fight camp training. I mean, it's not what I'm used to, since I've been in Dallas. So I won't be able to take anything last minute if something pops up. So September is going to be ideal for us. Okay.
And by the way, how did you get, just out of curiosity, from Dallas to New Orleans?
My parents drove in 7.5 hours to come and get me. So I'm super fortunate to have family that really cares about me. And I mean, I wouldn't have anywhere else to go. The first person I called when it happened was my coach, was Saif. I was like, Saif, you need to come get me. I mean, something bad just happened. And I can't rely on just one person to, take care of me. I had to come back home. My parents came and got me. We drove back in, and now, we're just trying to regroup, and I need to get back out there as fast as possible.
And did you have a car there?
I did. Yeah.
Did you grab the keys before you left?
So thankfully the keys were in my pocket.
Oh, wow.
If the keys were not in my pocket, I wouldn't have been able to retrieve my car. I wouldn't have been able to go and get my car. So that's one less thing that I had to worry about. But items are replaceable.
Sure, absolutely.
And there's a lot of memories in there that I won't be able to get back, but I'm just thankful to be alive.
Right. Is there something in particular that's really bothering you that you can't get?
Well, at first it was, my paperwork and my wallet, because that's annoying stuff that you have to go through. And that's really one of the reasons I had to relocate. I mean, I had to cancel all of my credit cards and my accounts and stuff. So, there was a few days where I just didn't have any money. I didn't have access to any of my accounts. But yeah, I mean, I have some special like heirlooms in there for my grandpa before he died, and I have like my tough trophy, just stuff that awards and original stuff that I'll never be able to get back.
My understanding is the UFC reached out to you and is offering help.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, Mick. So actually, Mick Maynard, got right on it, and he's such an awesome guy. He was like, what do you need? He sent me some training clothes and stuff because I only have like, I went and bought maybe like one shirt and a pair of pants, and that's really all I've had so far. So he's sending me a bunch of Reebok stuff, and then I got a call from Dana himself, and he's just such a great guy. He's just a nice guy, and he's like, what do you need? What can I do for you? He's like, I'll do anything for you. I can't believe this happened to you. So they've taken care of me, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of an organization that when something bad happens, they have your back. If something good happens, they're still there, So they've been there 24/7 for me since day one.
Obviously, at some point, you're going to get back into a groove. You'll get more possessions. Was there a point where you thought you actually might, get really physically hurt, or maybe even, God forbid, die? Like, do you feel like it's going to take a long time for you to get over the trauma that you experienced during this event?
Well, like I said, I mean, it's just been, getting back into training, and then, just you're just not yourself. It's sometimes it's gonna take. It might take a day, it might take a week, it might take a month. I don't know. It's just been rocky. There's some days, like I said, I feel good, and and it's just another day. And then there's some days where it's been really hard. But I mean, whenever I was in there, I really seriously, there was probably a few seconds where I just thought I was gonna die. I was like, this is it for me. I'm done. It's I mean, I'll never forget hearing the sound of just the crane falling through floors, and then, walking outside and seeing people just trapped in their apartment, just looking through their window, and there's no apartment behind them.
Oh,
it was horrific. It was, just walking outside and debris and dust, concrete falling. It's just one of the scariest moments of my life. And I'll never forget it. It's always going to be there, but it's just going to be one of those things that I'll have to just work through at some point.
The MMA community could be an interesting place. I feel like in times like this, they tend to rally around, their own. Are you feeling the love from the community?
I've gotten some hateful stuff.
What?
But,
hateful?
And that's always expected,
What possibly could people hate on you for?
Well, a lot of people were pretty hard on me about the lawsuit, saying that, oh, she's a fighter, she's privileged, she's got money, so we've dealt with some stuff like that, and people are trying to say that it's Mother Nature's doing, and basically I'm using my social status as a marketing standpoint for the whole situation.
Oh, God.
Which is, I would never do that. I mean, the first thing I thought after it happened, USA and the Today Show contacted me, and I was like, I do not want to. That's the last thing I wanted to do after something like that happened, But it is a part of my life. This is a part of my life, and at some point, people are going to want to know, and so I've gotten some hateful stuff. And, but you know what? I've gotten a lot more good, and people literally have reached out to me and offered like their home to me. People I didn't even know, which I guess that could be kind of creepy, but people were offering me money, and, it's been really nice having, the MMA community to have my back. It's been awesome.
Well, I appreciate you doing this, Macy. I'm really sorry that this happened to you, but I appreciate you coming on and talking about it. And I wish you the best. Hopefully you get back on your feet sooner rather than later, and that you have people supporting you and you can resume a very promising career. And hopefully at some point you'll be able to look back on all of this and find some positives and draw something from it. I know that might be very tough to do right now, but kudos to you for handling it all with class and with dignity and for speaking about it here today. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And hey, look, I'll be back. This is incentive. This is more incentive to train harder and to fight more, to fight harder. So it's tragic, but it's one of those things where I'm going to turn that energy into good energy. And you guys are really going to see it in my next fight.
I look forward to that. All the best to you, Macy. We'll talk to you soon and good luck to you. There she is, Macy Chiasson, who, like I said, one of the top prospects in the game, coming off a very impressive victory. Looking forward to her growth and her return as she does return, and she will return from this traumatic event, a horrific series of events, and just glad that she wasn't hurt, her dog wasn't hurt, and very sad to hear that someone in fact did pass away as a result of this. Just horrible, absolutely scary. I mean, those things just fly around. That is horrible stuff. I appreciate her coming on and talking about it. All right, before we get to our next guest, let me tell you about our good friends over at Ancestry DNA as you look at tomorrow night's Dana White's Contender Series debut from the brand new UFC Apex in Las Vegas. We'll talk to one of those fighters later on in the program, but Ancestry DNA gives you so much more than just the places you're from. Ancestry connects you to the places in the world where your story started using precise geographic detail and clear-cut historical insights. You can even trace your ancestors' journeys over time, following how and why your family moved from place to place. And to amplify your results, you can just start a free trial today. Trial, that is, on Ancestry and build a tree so your ancestors become more than just a name. They've combined DNA results with over 100 million family trees and billions of records to give you more insight into your genealogy and origins. Only Ancestry can tell such a rich story, with unique features that give you a more complete picture about a person, like events that shaped them, how they made a living, and what they excelled in. It's so easy to get started, all right? So here you go. This is what you have to do, all right? Go to Ancestry.com/MMA today for 20% off your Ancestry DNA kit. That's Ancestry.com/MMA for 20% off your Ancestry DNA kit. Ancestry.com/MMA. It's the easiest thing. You get this little box, you spit in the box, you put it not in the box, you spit in the tube, you put that in a little baggie that comes in the box, and then you put that in the mail, and then you get a whole history. In fact, my neighbor was talking about this recently, and I gave her the MMA code, and now she's doing it herself. True story. This happened on Saturday. All right? Again, it's Ancestry.com/MMA today for 20% off your Ancestry DNA kit. That's Ancestry.com/MMA for 20% off. Support them because they support us. There's the lineup right over there. June 18th to August 27th. That's tomorrow. I like that music. I like how it ends right over there. So that's the Contender Series. We'll talk to Brendan Loughnane later on in the program about his fight tomorrow on the Dana White Contender Series show. Do we have our next guest, or do I need to vamp, as they say in the business? Oh, corporate. I knew he was going to say vamp. It's such a corporate word, vamp. It's like effort, vamp. Ah, there you go. He's efforting our next guest. Our next guest is known to some as PVZ, to others as Paige Vanzant. In fact, her husband is a product of the Contender Series show, and I still feel till this day that it was a huge mistake to not sign him, but that's a different argument for a different day. She announced recently that she underwent surgery again on her arm, and she posted a most gruesome photo of said arm on social media. In fact, I was eating when I saw this photo, and I stopped eating promptly afterwards. It was very graphic. Do we have that photo? Are we allowed to show that photo? Is that a thing we're allowed to do? Or if you're eating, take a break right now. Oh my God. Jeez Louise. Paige, how are you? Oh my gosh. Look at this.
Hi.
Hello. I like saying hello to you as I look at the inside of your arm right over there.
Inside of my body.
Oh my gosh. This is something else. How are you feeling?
Good. You know what? I'm feeling good. I'm all casted up. I'm actually at Starbucks right now. It's my first day where I was allowed to be out of the house. For the first 4 days, I had to have my arm elevated 20 out of 24 hours a day. So I had to like sit on the couch for 20 hours a day.
Oh.
I was going absolutely insane. So this is the day I got to get out of the house, and I'm just hanging out at Starbucks.
Well, I appreciate you doing this in the midst of your sort of, get out of jail free moment. When did you have that surgery?
It was on Thursday. So early Thursday morning, I had the surgery. So I'm about, I guess, 4 or 5 days out of surgery, I would say. So it's, surgery number 3. It's been rough. This one, actually, though, I will say I have an extremely positive mindset about it. Been here. I've done it before. The surgeon was amazing. Everything, it's been the smoothest surgery so far. So, I'm actually feeling good.
Okay, why did you need the surgery?
So everything went fine with my first break, like where I broke my arm the first time. So I broke it the first time, had surgery failed, broke it again, had surgery the second time. This one, I fought in January, beat Rachel Ostovich, was sparring the week after, and I fractured in a completely different spot in my arm. I fractured around the plate. Which happens, I guess. And it sucks. And I went, a month or so before I even got the results back that I was fractured. I knew it was because it hurt extremely bad. I went to my husband's fight for Bellator, traveled a little bit, and then I got the phone call and I was like, I knew my arm was broken. Unfortunately, it didn't heal correctly. They thought it was going to heal, the way a normal bone should, but because I wasn't casted, there was too much movement at the fracture site. So my arm, I got another, like a hyperplasia non-union, something like that. That's where we are now.
And so you said this is your third surgery all on the same arm?
Third surgery, all on the same arm, 2 on the same spot, and then 1 in a different spot. So this is the third plate I've had in my arm. Feeling good though. I think that also it's the reason I posted all those like nasty pictures of my arm on Instagram. I wanted people to see like, it's not just a broken arm. Like I'm going in to have my whole arm basically reconstructed. And this is the third time I've gone through this whole process. And it's like a legit injury. It's not like an easy, just put a cast on it and, fix it type thing. I've had extreme trauma to my arm. But, at the same time, it is just an arm. I'm so thankful that I didn't, oh my gosh, I feel bad for like poor Sage Northcutt who fractured his entire face. This is just an arm. This is like, it's just an arm. I've been here before, gone through the whole healing process before, and I'm going to be right back at it. I'm keeping myself extremely busy, which is great. So that's going to, keep my mind preoccupied. But I actually think the surgeon said I should be back training 100% in 12 weeks.
How are you keeping yourself busy?
Different things here and there. I've done different interviews with people. I started vlogging, which no videos are up on my YouTube channel yet, but I did start a YouTube channel with vlogs.
Okay.
So you can see this whole process. That is TBD to be when the first video goes up because I don't know how to edit videos. I know how to film myself, but I'm still working on the whole editing thing. Started vlogging. I've done some interviews here and there. Working with different companies. I don't know, just doing little things. I'm trying to just stay as busy as possible. Now, I'm not going to say no to any opportunity.
Sure. No, of course. Why did you have to keep your arm elevated for 20 out of 24 hours?
To reduce swelling. So anytime you have your arm down by your side, the blood rushes to your arm. So they don't want it to swell up. If I had too much swelling and pressure around my arm, it actually restricts the blood flow to my ulna, which is like your smaller of the 2 bone ends in your arm. So if you keep your arm elevated and keep everything, it just reduces all of the swelling around the fracture site. It keeps all the blood, bad restriction swelling away from your arm.
Are you worried that this is going to be something that is just going to keep coming up, that it's going to halt your career? Is there any concern of that?
No, not really. I'm only 25 and I have a long fighting career ahead of me. Of course, this sucks. There is a lot of people who have had a lot more injuries than me, but this has been, one really frustrating one. I will say I have to be 100% honest with myself. I rushed and I wasn't even supposed to take that fight with Rachel. My arm never really technically got cleared. I went to 4 doctors and I finally found one that would clear me.
Oh.
And So snuck into that one. So I just wasn't honestly ready. So then I made it through the fight, which was great. But then I came back and, fractured my arm immediately. I was just thankful enough I was able to win a fight before fracturing it again. So I need to be completely honest with myself and go through the physical therapy and really wait it out to make sure that I get the genuine, honest doctor clearance that my arm is ready to start taking impact again. And it was so in training, I'm supposed to wear a arm brace anytime I start elbowing people, and I did not have it on, and I elbowed somebody.
Oh no, that is
broke my arm.
That will do it. Yeah. Wait. So
that was my fault.
Just to be clear, you had 3 doctors who told you not to fight, who didn't clear you, and then you found a 4th, and that person cleared you, and then you took the fight.
So they didn't say it. They said it's a bad idea that I could re-break my arm. It was not that I can't. I guess technically they can't really tell me I can't do anything, but they just said it wasn't a good idea to fight. And I had a few of them say it wasn't a good idea, but I was like, yeah, but I'm not gonna die. And he's like, well, yeah, technically. So I got a clearance. So you do what you do for the things you love.
Sure. And just to be clear as well, every time you do the surgery, is it a new plate that goes in? Do they replace the old with the new?
Yeah, it's a completely new plate. So I've had 3 in my arm. I have 1 at home I got to keep.
Wow.
This is, plate number 3. So the reason this one is going to take a little bit longer to heal is they had to take all of the old plate out, and my fracture was lower on my arm. So they had to move the plate over maybe 4 or 5 inches. So I have to wait for all my old screw holes to fill in. And then this new fracture site. So yeah, they have to go and take the old plate out and put a new one in.
How big is the plate?
Well, I mean, it pretty much runs the length of that picture.
Oh my gosh.
I guess. That's on Instagram. It's a big one. Yes. I would say maybe 6 inches.
Oh my Lord. Horrific. Yes. And I appreciate you sharing. I was kind of joking about it, but it is fascinating, and hopefully it does give insight to the casual person out there what you guys are going through. On a positive note, congratulations on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition honor. Right?
Thank you.
That's a big deal. How did that come about?
That was awesome. Gosh, my management team just called and said they had Sports Illustrated reached out to them and asked if there was any interest from me, and I had just found out my arm was broken.
Oh.
But I was like, yes, let's do it. So I actually flew from Alaska to Mexico for 1 day, shot the whole Sports Illustrated magazine in 1 day. I flew straight from Mexico to Las Vegas to see my arm surgeon. So it was a crazy experience, but so awesome. And I'm hoping it leads to new things. I would love to do the ESPN Body Edition would be awesome to do the next thing off of this magazine. I'm hoping that it continues to lead to more things. It's awesome that, us female fighters are being represented.
And so I'm wondering, have you already felt the impact of being in Sports Illustrated featured? Are you already getting people reach out to you that maybe don't even know that you're a fighter?
Gosh, I mean, I feel like it's a lot of the people who got it are already my fan base.
Okay.
There has been quite a few people that just saw me in it. I think the thing that's changed the most for me is anytime I go into a magazine store or a grocery store or the airport, I always try to find my magazine and put my picture on the front of the shelf.
You open up the book and you put your picture, the featured one?
Yeah, and then put it right on the front of the shelf.
Do you ever get caught doing this?
I'm sure I have, but it's a really fun, exciting thing. I just love it. It was an awesome experience. So I'm really proud of it.
Was Austin there when you did this?
He was, yeah. So I was shooting my magazine and he got to just lay in a hammock and drink tequila for the day.
Oh, wow.
Of course, we wanted to stay in Mexico a lot longer. We still have yet to take a honeymoon. But, of course, didn't get to happen. I had to fly to Vegas to get my arm looked at.
Well, the correct answer is every day is a honeymoon, right?
Yes, that's so true. Every day is a vacation in our lives.
Right. And by the way, I was just curious, your teammate and friend Chiasson retired on Friday. What did you think when you saw that? What were the emotions that you were experiencing when you saw him retire?
Gosh, of course, I've known Chael for a long time and I know his story and I know why he was pursuing a championship. And through his career, I felt like he was robbed of a championship once in his life, and he's been chasing that for so long. of course, he's been a mentor to us. We call him Uncle Chael. He's one of Austin's main training partners and teammates. So we texted him immediately after. I'm hoping he stays active in the gym, but he's left such a legacy and really created a lot of momentum in the sport. And a lot of people try to mimic what he does, but there's really nobody like him. And it's an honor that I got to, train with him and be a part of his journey while he was still an active fighter. But I know he's not going to go away. He's Chiasson and he's going to be around forever. And I think it's exciting. And hopefully he steps up at our team here in Portland as more of like a leadership role and coaches or, just is around. He's an amazing person to be around.
So you said, and very well said, and I couldn't agree with you more, your hopeful 12-week recovery process?
12-week recovery process. Yeah. So I should be back. Now it's 12 weeks from last Thursday. So we're 1 week into it so far. Really hoping 12-week recovery process. I'm aiming for, there's always a really big card at the end of the year for the UFC. So I'm hoping for that end of the year card.
True or false, whenever that fight happens, is that the last fight on your deal?
It is, yeah. So I have, one fight left on my UFC contract.
Are you planning on fighting it out?
I am, yeah. And, it's more, for me, it's, I want to prove my worth. And obviously with my arm injuries, I've had, 3 surgeries in a row now. I feel like even though I am so popular, I guess I've been doing amazing things outside of the UFC, Sports Illustrated, Dancing with the Stars, all these amazing things. I want to show like, hey, I'm a huge player in this division. I'm a huge player in the UFC. And I think it's going to take one more fight to prove that. And, more than anything, I'm just focused on getting back in the cage. I don't want to put any pressure on myself or any stress behind anything. I just want to fight.
Okay, one last thing. Valentina Shevchenko, she's the champion in your weight class. Do you foresee anyone dethroning her anytime soon? She's a very scary fighter. What she did to Jessica Eye, do you see anyone out there? Like let's exclude you for a moment because you're on, you're on the sidelines. Is there anyone out there that you think can give her a shot, or are you the one who will dethrone her?
Okay, you know what? I'm going to be real honest. She's terrifying. So no, I don't think, I plan on being in the UFC and training for, fighting for forever. She'll probably retire before I fight for the title, to be totally honest. I'm only 25, so I want to, work my way up. As far as anyone I see right now to dethrone her, no, there's nobody. She's amazing. And I know that I feel like she said, bad things about me in the past, but I don't care. Her striking is like absolutely next level. She's so, methodical in her striking and technical. And it's like nothing I've ever seen before. So I'm, working on being like her. So she's the one I want striking like her. So congrats to the champ. That was just an awesome performance.
Wait a second. She said something bad about you? I feel like she says like only positive things about everyone. What did she say? Did I miss this?
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't know. I feel like in the past, something Dana said something. I'm not really sure. So don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
So no, she's awesome champ.
All right. I was a little bit shocked from that. I mean, who would say anything bad about you, right?
Right? That's what I think. I'm so nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're in good spirits because I know 3 surgeries. By the way, are those the only 3 surgeries of your life?
No, I mean my only 3 because of injuries. I've had my appendix taken out.
Oh gosh.
I've had my tonsils taken out. I've had my adenoids taken out.
Oh geez. Okay.
Yeah. So
but
no.
Sport related.
Familiar. Sport related only injury that had required surgery.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you're in good spirits. Happy to see you're in good spirits. Good luck. Maybe now you could take a little bit of time off now that you're on the sidelines. And Austin has a fight. When's his next fight?
His fight's in August, so which I don't know that it's been announced yet, but he's fighting in August. Sorry.
Okay, well there you go.
And he's actually moving up to 185 for this one. So
wow.
he's gonna test the division at 185.
All right, I like it. Well, good luck to him. I look forward to that as well. Thank you for doing this, Paige. Good luck to you. Get well soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, there she is, Paige Vanzant joining us. Always great to talk to her, and sad to hear about the surgery, but hopefully she recovers quickly. And interesting to note, 1 fight left on her deal. That's a really interesting development. Her husband, of course, Austin Vanderfort, fights for Bellator, so that is something that I think we should keep our eyes on. All right, let's move along now and say hello to a fellow Canadian. Unfortunately, found out recently that he was released from the UFC, had an 8-3 record inside the octagon, one of the top middleweights for a very long time, and we have not heard much from him. He's quite active on social media, but had not heard from him in an interview setting. So now let us say hello to the one and only Elias Theodorou, who is repping the 2019 NBA champion Toronto Raptors. Well done, Elias. How are you?
I'm fantastic. My city just won a championship.
Yes, congratulations. Are you in Toronto right now?
That I am.
Wow, what is the scene like?
The vibe's just amazing. Like it started, I know people that went out at 6 a.m. and have been out there since there, and even a couple people that tented out the day before. But, just good vibes. I think, you would know it as much as anyone. The fact that we were just happy to be there, and obviously now to take the whole thing, it's an amazing feat.
Wait, so did I take you away from the parade? Now I feel horrible.
No, I could jump back in. Obviously, I got to take it in and bumped into a bunch of, just fans in general. Like some people, I took some pictures with people myself here and there, but got to crack one of these bad boys a little bit later.
That's all. So you went outside?
Yeah, 100%. Jumped right in there.
Did you catch any Drake sightings? Any Aubrey sightings?
Obviously, that was right hard in Nathan Silk Square, so that's like a fortress of solitude, if you will. So I was able to go throughout the rest of the route and just take it all in.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you doing this. It's like a national holiday in Canada, so
yes.
That's awesome that you took out the time. So let's talk about what happened. Were you surprised when you got the call that they were releasing you?
Well, yeah, definitely surprised, considering I came off of a 3-fight win streak before that. And, obviously there's the old adage, you're as good as your last performance, and I lost my last one. But, being with a company for 5+ years, you'd expect, obviously, maybe another opportunity, especially considering the fact that I had recently gone through the process of renegotiating my contract leading up to it. But obviously, the UFC has the right, it seems, to fast track promotional agreement, and that's where I find myself. But like I said, with obviously the Raptors winning, I'm really excited for the future. As you mentioned, I was 8-3 in the UFC, and I'm also 17-3 moving forward as a professional athlete, and just excited for the landscape. I've been in a committed relationship for 5 years in regards to MMA, and I'm excited. I'm now single and ready to mingle.
That is a very good way of putting it. How did you find out the news?
I got an email. Well, obviously, my management talked with them beforehand, and they passed me along the information that it was essentially final the decision. And then eventually there was a subsequent email in regards to just confirming and kind of dating, all the legal mumbo jumbo in regards to that it officially was a partnership that was done.
When you left the cage in Ottawa a few weeks ago, did the thought ever cross your mind that this could be it for you?
No, obviously in the capacity of, it wasn't a fan favorite. It wasn't my best showing. But I think especially considering, my record speaks for itself. The fact that I was coming off of a 3-fight winning streak before that. And, being able to be not only a representative of mixed martial arts for the last 5 years, but also a Canadian representative. In the top 15, top 13 is where I was. And the gentleman that I lost to was 8th best in the world. So, again, like I mentioned, obviously it was their decision in the capacity of fast tracking our promotional agreement. But, leading up to it, it was a thought process in my mind, in the potential of going elsewhere. And, I kind of jokingly mentioned it in the capacity of, single ready to mingle in regards to different avenues and different partnerships and different organizations that I could go and basically explore. But it's the same capacity of, obviously I thought about the idea of free agency leading into this, and obviously they made the decision. But going back to the idea of a relationship, when someone ends a relationship with you and you were thinking of it beforehand, it's just one of those things where they just jumped the gun rather than you did. So I'm excited for the future, honestly. I'm happy and healthy. And, I have different avenues that I can explore as an athlete and as a individual as a mixed martial artist. Obviously now potentially on which organization I go and partner with. I have my banner in my shorts back as an avenue to partner with sponsorships. And I have partnerships that are global. So whether it's North America or even potentially Asia, they will see value in regards to creating those same partnerships and same campaigns that I've been doing throughout my UFC career, and now potentially in other organizations. And just really excited for something different. And I was motivated as an athlete and motivated as a UFC fighter after my last fight, but now I'm even more motivated in regards to moving forward as the opportunities that are at hand. And I fell in love with martial arts as a fan first and foremost. So I love what I do, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a UFC fighter. I'm a mixed martial artist, and that's what I'm really excited about moving forward.
Since this news came out around 3 or 4 weeks ago, have you received offers from any promotions?
Yeah, definitely people have already reached out through different channels, and there's opportunity to start those conversations and see where the next potential 5+ years of my career can go. And there's many different directions, even things and partnerships and opportunities that I don't even know yet. It doesn't necessarily have to be potentially a one-off in regard, a direction in regards to a different promotion. There's different avenues with different potential partners to set up, partnerships and potential not organizations, but next steps in my mixed martial arts career.
Has this forced you at all to take a look at your career, to take a look at your fighting style? Do you feel like you need to change the way you approach fights? Because 8-3, just coming off a winning streak, usually those fighters don't get released from the UFC. Do you feel like you have to look inside yourself and say, look, maybe wins aren't enough in this sport. Maybe you have to do impressive things, even if you get knocked out. Oh, if you're making people get out of their seat, that's good enough. We've seen this before. We've seen this with the likes of John Fitch and Jake Shields and Yushin Okami in the past, guys who had winning records, very much like yourself, former title contenders, and they were released after one loss. Have you had that internal debate?
Yeah, no, like I mentioned, that was something I internally had after the last fight, right? So whether you win or lose, you have to go back to the drawing board in some capacity. And obviously, my last fight, it's the case where I was in many ways looking to be the matador against the bull, because Derek Brunson normally for the last, give or take, 10 fights has been running out of the gate like a bat out of hell. Obviously, he adjusted and had that same internal conversation in our bout, and it didn't work. I tweeted it out and kind of have talked about it since, but I prided myself in being able to be unorthodox enough to basically, outsmart people with my unconventional style. And in doing so, rather confusing them or doing different things that they wouldn't expect to work. And I was able to be victorious in that aspect. And part of it also was I definitely looked at mixed martial arts and UFC as a sport. And now, obviously, there is definitely, more entertainment possibly as the sphere, and especially with the specific company that I was working with beforehand. But moving forward, I'm really excited to reinvent myself, both as a martial artist, as an individual. I've had my identity in one direction for quite some time, but I'm looking to change both in the cage and out.
Will you continue being a ring boy for Invicta?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
I feel like that's the big question in all this.
Yes, there you go. But beyond that, I plan on fighting both in the cage and for fighting what I believe in the cage and out. And that's obviously as the inaugural ring boy for Invicta, but also in the capacity of my advocacy in cannabis. I've been fighting to be the first professional athlete allowed to medicate with cannabis in competition, and I've been doing that with a U.S. company. And no longer with a U.S. company, there is now avenues to do that same advocacy in a Canadian sphere. And I'm really excited because that opens up many more opportunities in the regulatory aspect with a potential partner and potential organizations that are open to my advocacy. And create history, not only for myself, but all other athletes moving forward.
Wow, that is great. Well done. How many more years do you even want to fight for?
Again, I don't want to put an end date in it, because I think the day that you start putting an expiry date on it, you've already have your days numbered. I love what I do as a martial artist, and as the subsequent stuff that comes with it, as a martial artist and as a athlete, and also as a businessman, if you will. So I'm excited to hit the drawing board back in the gym, but also talk to my management and see what next steps are involved, what next steps are open. I think beyond the original aspect of organizations, I think there are many different partners that I can work with moving forward, and kind of do something different and do something neat.
Do you want to get back to the UFC? Is that the goal, or do you not care?
No, I obviously I would love to put myself in a position where I am undeniable to any organization, and I have nothing but positive positive memories and positive connection with the UFC from my experience. Obviously, if you're looking at it as a purely business aspect, I kind of understand where they went. If you looked at what my paycheck was in some ways, they in many ways replaced me with 6 other UFC fighters that are just starting their contracts all over again. So I think there's economical aspects that they kind of looked in different directions, and if I make myself undeniable in every facet of my ability as an athlete and beyond, I think all organizations will recognize my worth.
Do you hold any ill will towards the UFC for this decision?
Well, obviously, feeling the almost rug pulled out of you in regards to your identity in some capacity, sure, it kind of hurt at the moment, but honestly, no real ill will in any way, shape, or form. I assume it's a business decision on their end, and like I said, I'm excited for the future and excited to do different things that no longer are restricted, even though how great of an opportunity and great of a platform the UFC was, there were some restrictions in my identity as an athlete and as an individual. So I'm excited to partner in many different ways that I don't even know yet.
Are you close to signing with a new promotion?
I wouldn't necessarily say in the idea close with signing with something, but I'm talking to everyone and anyone in regards to potential partners. I want to fight soon, and that's the next steps that I'll be taking with my management.
All right. Well, I wish you the best, Elias. Thank you very much for coming on and clearing this up for us and giving us your side of things. A very, dare I say, Canadian stance to all of this, right? A very diplomatic and positive take on it all, and I respect that. It's a great time to be a Canadian, Elias. You have nothing to be worried about or ashamed of. We are the champions of the world. You hear me? The champions of the freaking world, okay?
Yes, we are.
Enjoy the party, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, there he is. Elias Theodorou, the Spartan. Looking forward to what is next for him in the very near future. And it sounds like he will be continuing his career, so that is good news. And I have a feeling someone will be signing him sooner rather than later. Now let us move along and say hello to our next guest. Like I said, Dana White Contender Series debuts on ESPN Plus tomorrow night. That's Tuesday night on ESPN Plus, the platform that we built, we being Chael and I, with our hands off our backs. You know the drill. This is the first Dana White Contender Series on ESPN Plus, and moments ago the weigh-ins happened in Las Vegas, and one of the featured fights on the card features Brendan Loughnane of Manchester, the Mancunian, who is a very popular fighter out of the UK, getting a second run in the UFC. And I know this isn't technically a UFC fight, but let's be honest, it's the freaking UFC, and it's a big deal, and it's a big fight for him tomorrow night against Bill Algeo, on ESPN Plus. So now let us say hello to Brendan, who joins us from Las Vegas. Brendan, how are you?
Ariel, I've made it. Finally, I'm on your show.
Well, it's good to have you, my friend. A lot of your fans were campaigning to have you on. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you for the invite. Really appreciate it.
So give us the timeline here. When did you weigh in?
I weighed in about 3 hours ago. It's just rehydrating, eating, been to the UFC PI. They've looked after me all week. Them guys have been great. So yeah, it was a cool, smooth cut, and yeah, feeling great, Ariel.
Yeah, it's rare to have a Tuesday fight, so it's rare to talk to someone just moments after they weighed in. How were the weigh-ins?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, not much was going on. You know, like I say, it is a contender show. It isn't the UFC yet, but for me, I feel like it is. And yeah, I'm fighting for my life tomorrow night, Ariel.
Have you seen the new Apex, arena? They call it the UFC Apex. Have you seen this? The first time they're holding fights there. Have you been able to go?
They gave us a little tour yesterday. We weren't allowed to take any pictures or anything like that, but I looked around and let's just say it got real in there. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm back. 7 years, like you said, a little fat kid got pulled off the couch in Manchester on short notice. Come and have a go at this show. I wasn't ready. 5-0, not fought anybody yet. Ended up fighting at 55 against monsters. Since then, I've gone on a crazy run, and now I'm back.
Okay, and I'm happy that you mentioned that because your story is interesting and confusing to me. Like you said, you get called to fight Mike Wilkinson. You are undefeated. You're 4-0. You lose that fight, and they don't give you another one. They don't give you another chance. Why was that?
I know. You know what? I genuinely believe, and if you watch the fight, it was like that too. And also, I believe Dana White wasn't actually at the show. And I think he would have seen me then, he would have took me on. But you know what? It all happened for a reason. I went away, fought ACB, fought some big names there, made some good money with them too. And like I say, I really believe in timing. Everything's happened for a reason. As you can see, the whole of the UK is behind me. They know real talent when they see it. And I'm about to put myself and Manchester on the map tomorrow.
So for a young guy, after getting a taste of the UFC and then having to work your way back up, how did you handle that?
Yeah, it was hard, especially when the fight was so close and the fight was very exciting. We just missed fight of the night, and it was my first taste at the UFC. I'm glad I did it so young, and I'm just really happy to get another opportunity. I mean, I was like, wow, what do I have to do? I went on like 5-fight win streak, then I'd lose another split decision, 5-fight win streak, split decision. I'm like, is this worth it to me anymore? And finally, I got a chance, and I have to thank Dominic Cruz too, who I've been living with and training with like on and off for 5 years, and he's been a massive help in my career, and also Alliance MMA and my coach from back home. So we've all come together as a team and made it happen.
Yeah, Dominic speaks so highly of you, and you've even made a cameo or two on his Unlocking Victory show, which was kind of cool for fans that recognized you to see you take part in all of that. He is such an interesting mind. He is so cerebral. He's so smart when it comes to fighting. What's it like actually living with Dominic Cruz?
Like you just said, everything. He's like that with everything. I put something down in his house. What time are you going to pick that up? I'm like, jeez. Literally, it's like that. And he'll tell you that himself. He's on my ass every day. So, that helps. That helps a lot. And he's flying out here tonight. Can't wait to see him. Not seen him for a month or two. So, having him in my corner is incredible because, coming out, he's a busy man. He's come out to corner me in the contender, which is great for me. And I'm really happy.
Safe to say that if you win this fight, you'll be finding your own place?
Well, you know what? It keeps me in check, Ariel.
Yeah.
I'm still a young guy. Dominic, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, put that down, do that. I think I kind of need that still. I'm a mummy's boy. He acts like my mum in the house.
Okay, fair enough. It's good to have someone that's keeping you in check. Now, you don't live full-time in San Diego, right? You go back home?
No, back and forth, yeah.
Okay.
I actually did this camp in the UK because Alliance was busy with Miles, Jeremy, and Darian had a big fight, just defended his title. So I went back home for this camp, but I'll be back out there after this fight.
And how did you end up at Alliance?
I got a fight with Tom Duquesnoy for the BAMA title 5 years ago. And I wanted high-level training. And I trained with a few of the guys from Alliance when I was on the first Ultimate Fighter. So just went out there, and then that was it. I was going back and forth, and like I say, living at Dominic's house and just getting amazing training there.
So it's interesting that you bring up the Duquesnoy fight because after the Wilkinson fight, you won 5 in a row, and then you fight Duquesnoy for the belt in Bama, and then you lose a split decision. And correct me if I'm wrong, you considered retiring after that loss, correct?
Check this, Ariel. 7-0 amateur. 19-0 I should be. If you go back and check my record, them 3 losses are like this, right?
Yeah.
So really, no one's knocked me out. No one's submitted me. The only people that have ever beat me is some judges and some bent ones at that. So tomorrow, I get to have a real chance at this UFC, and you'll see what the hype is all about. You'll see why everybody's bigging me up on social media and why Dominic Cruz is flying across the world to corner me. He doesn't do that. He's not got the time for that. People believe in me, Ariel, and tomorrow I'll show them why.
Is it true, though, that you consider walking away after that?
Oh, after the Duke. Well, I did the UFC, 5 fights, Duke and Noir, got told you've got a UFC contract waiting after that fight. Split decision, which was never a split decision. I was like, wow, I don't know if I've got this in me no more. And then it was 5 fights again, knockouts all the way up until Pat Healy, which took on short notice, 155, split decision, which I didn't lose again. I'm like, kind of really pulled myself out of this again, did it again. 2 wins on the bounce since then, 2 knockouts at 45, and here we are talking to you.
It's amazing. And like you said, so you had the Healy fight, very close once again. But since then, so that fight was in July of 2017. You followed that up with a win in November of 2017, and then another one in November of 2018. And now here you are in late June. Why only 2 fights in that stretch?
When I fought in ACB in Germany, I broke my arm.
Okay.
In the second round, and actually came back with a highlight reel knockout in the 3rd round with one arm. And you can check that online. It was a crazy one. But yeah, I got knocked out of the night there in Germany. And then obviously had to let my arm heal. And here's a crazy one. So Dominic Cruz broke his arm and did the same injury 2 weeks before. The exact same injury, spinning back fist, same thing. Then he calls me. He's like, Brendan, you're not going to believe it. I broke my arm. I'm like, how hard was you throwing that in sparring, bro? To break your arm? 2 weeks later, I get the same injury. So I went to Alliance. We did the same rehab for the same injury. It was like the same shot. Crazy.
Wow, you guys are like BFF. You're meant to be.
Weird.
That is weird. Also, it's amazing. It seems like you have every famous person in Manchester rooting for you. How is this possible? I saw Tyson Fury give you a shout out. I saw a couple of Man United players give you a shout out. Some other people that I looked them up because I have to be honest, I'm not, fully well versed in, Mancunian celebrity scene. Did I say that correctly? Mancunian. No, is that wrong?
Mancunian.
Mancunian.
There we go.
My bad. Mancunian sounds like a manicure. My bad.
You'll have the Manx on you for that.
Oh my gosh, I don't want the Manx on me. Okay, Mancunian. Yes. So how do you know all these people?
So I actually know these people personally. This isn't like some guy begging guys to send me messages. I grew up with Rashford and Lingard. I know all the family. I played soccer with them when I was young. Tyson Fury's from the same gym, boxing gym from back in the day, so we all know the same people. Every single person who's sent a message there, I know them personally. And it was just real nice of them. It was off their own back. Fury sent a nice one. And then once I put that up, I just started getting them. And I was like, geez. And it means the world to me, because I don't like asking people for things like that. And for them to do it off their own back and send me love out here in Vegas, I feel like I'm in England still, even though I'm coming out to fight an American. And I've got a lot of people behind me, a hell of a lot of support. And I'll show everyone why the hype's real.
Did you go to Fury's fight on Saturday?
I didn't. I was weight cutting. I got there and I was like, I'm going to turn around. And I was like, sorry, Tyson, I'm dying.
What do you mean? You got to the arena?
I got there, but I got there at 5 o'clock, realized that he was going to be on at 9. And was like, nah, I can't do this.
Did you have tickets?
I had tickets.
What? What did you do with the tickets?
I gave them away.
To just some random person?
No, to my friend.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, that's very nice of you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I mean, perhaps a sign of things to come for the Mancunian. Why am I having so much trouble with this? Mancunian.
There you go.
Gosh.
Or the Manc. Call me the Manc.
Oh, the Manx. Yes. And so you're a Man U fan, not a Man City fan?
I'm a Manchester United fan, correct?
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about that. It's been a bit of a tough time. I don't know if you're familiar with the Blues, my beloved Everton Football Club. Are you familiar with this club?
You're actually an Everton fan, seriously.
Of course, Wayne Rooney, Everton's own. Don't claim him, all right? He's our guy.
What a sad life it is to be an Everton fan.
Are you serious? You want to go there? I'll get Molly McCann on your ass, and she'll beat Molly McCann, the biggest Evertonian fan out there.
Let's talk about history.
What about history, all right?
Trophies.
Nah. I'm more of a what have you done for me lately kind of guy, okay?
Let's leave it there. Let's just leave it there, Ariel.
Well, I'm a very loyal supporter, okay? I don't jump bandwagons, so I'm going to stick with these guys.
I do respect that.
All right?
I respect
well, that's very exciting, and I know a lot of people, if I'm being honest, why aren't you the main event, Brendan? You've got like all these big fights. I mean, you're usually Contender Series is for, up-and-comers. You're not an up-and-comer. Why aren't you the main event?
Well, you know what? I was offered a few prelim fights, short notice, 155.
Oh.
And any time I fought at 155 before, it's like, nah, it's not my weight. And we sat down with Dominic and my team and then Eric Del Fiero, and we're like, right, okay, we either turn this down and we wait for the contender, and then that came up, or we just keep fighting and get a pre. And I was like, look, I'm 29, in my prime. I'm trying to get a fight. Like, I don't care if it's contender, main event, prelim, get me a fight. So this is what came up and this is what I took, and I'm out here taking risks, so why not?
Do you feel like this is your last chance to get in?
The UFC wants to see skill and they want to see support. I bring both to the table, as I've shown this week. And like I say, even if it was a UFC fight on a real card, if I would have lost, they wouldn't look at you the same anyway. So for me, this is a UFC fight.
I love it. Well, I wish you the best, Brendan. This is a great story, and there's a bit of an opening right now as far as like the face of UK MMA is concerned. I feel like there's a couple guys.
Bisping, Manoa, Ross Pearson, all of them now. Brad Pickett. It's wide open. I'm young, exciting. I'm hungry. The 45 division's wide open. I'm going to go in there tomorrow and show everyone why everyone's up my ass.
Am I saying this correctly? Up the Manx? Is that right? Up the Manx?
Up the Manx. Get in there, my boy.
Yes, Brendan.
We've already had one win in Vegas this weekend. We're about to get another one. Go on, the Fury.
I love it. I love it, Brendan. All the best to you, my man. I'm looking forward to it tomorrow night, ESPN Plus. Good luck in the fight, and I hope it all works out for you. And it's great to have you on the show for the first time.
Thank you very much. See you again soon, Ariel.
All right, there he is, Brendan Loughnane, who meets Bill Algeo tomorrow on the Dana White Contender Series show, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus, 8 o'clock in the East, 5 in the West, every Tuesday night from June 18th to August 27th. Only week off in that stretch, July 4th. Do you want me to read this thing that you gave me here, Corporate Jake? You don't want me to read it? I thought... Oh, well, there you go. Here's the lineup. 10 episodes from 8 to usually 10 is how it goes. You know what I love about the Contender Series show? They're always fun and they're quick. Like there's no reason to dilly-dally. First fight ends quickly, you move on to the next one. And so sometimes it lasts, an hour and a half. Sometimes it lasts 2 hours, but it never really goes over that. You see a 5-fight card right over there. I believe Laura Sanko is back. I think it's Brendan Fitzgerald. And is it Paul Felder? I'm not sure if it's Paul Felder this time around. Michael Bisping did some color analyst work, and so perhaps Corporate J can effort that as we say hello to our last guest of the day. He is one of the rising stars at 185 pounds. He is coming off a very impressive win over Anderson Silva. We spoke to him afterwards, and now I'm starting to hear that he's having trouble finding his next foe. So let us say hello to the one and only Jared Cannoneer, who joins us via the magic of FaceTime. Jared, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Ariel?
I'm doing great. I can't help but think of my girl now every time I see you.
That was a good story, right?
Yeah. Did you see the video that we put together? You saw that?
I did. And that video was perfect. I loved it. I saw it like 100,000 times.
Oh, that's great. Shout out to our ESPN MMA social team for putting that together. So has life been good since beating Anderson Silva? Is it everything that you dreamed of and more?
Life has been normal, after the fight, you get your, everybody's giving you kudos and stuff. But after a while, especially as soon as I get home, kids and family treat me normal. So life is normal. Life goes on. I'm still riding the wave a little bit, everybody, more, it's still new to me. More people recognize me and I guess people ask me, are you famous? Little kids ask me, are you famous? I'm like, I don't know how to answer that now. I'm like, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, that's not for you to answer. That's for them to determine if you're famous.
Yeah, I know, right? I would, but I'm not getting paid millions of dollars yet, so I'm not going to say I'm famous just yet.
Were you expecting life to change after beating Anderson?
Well, I'm definitely in a better place as far as being in the division. So as far as my fight career goes as well, I'm in a better place. I have more opportunities available to me to be successful. So, I would say yes and no. But again, life is still the same. I still have to put in the work. I still work my ass off. And you know, and, again, I go to the gym and I go home. So not much has changed in that regard.
Now, okay, so I have to be fully transparent with you. Your manager, who I consider one of the best in the game, Lou DeBono, reached out to me and said that, you know, we are facing a pickle here. We're trying to get a fight for Jared, and people keep saying no, and we're thinking we're getting close, and people keep saying no, and he's very frustrated, and he would like to talk about a few of these situations. He'd like to get some things off his chest. Is this accurate? Is it proving to be difficult to find you an opponent?
Well, you know, from my perspective, you know, we're all fighters. We all have a job to do. So picking and choosing fights is one thing I've never done. I'll fight whoever comes along. I understand people have to consider their career if they're trying to get to a title shot and all that stuff. But, you know, in this division, if you want to get to a title shot, you're going to have to meet me eventually. So, and the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be. So you better come see me now, or wait until it's going to be damn near impossible to beat me. With that being said, I don't know. You know, I don't want to say that people are scared. I'm not here to say that anyone's scared or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. That's not my place to do that. But one thing I will say is I would like for somebody to step up so I can get paid, so I can pay my kids, you know, so I can pay my bills. You know, this is an issue I had when I was a heavyweight in Alaska, you know, because there's no heavyweights in Alaska. There's hardly any heavyweights in Alaska. But I'm a middleweight in the UFC, so there should be somebody out there who's willing to step up and fight. I hear tell, a little birdie told me that one Kelvin Gaston was looking to fight at the end or the middle of September, I think, in Mexico City. So that'll be a good fight. You know, that fight will put me closer to a title shot. You know, I beat Adesanya just fought him. You know, just beat him for the interim title. So you know he's next in line naturally. But you know, before that, Adesanya fought Anderson. You know, I beat Anderson in a more impressive fashion. You know, and I feel if I beat when I beat Kelvin, if we ever meet, you know, in a more impressive fashion, which is what I plan on doing to any and everybody, then you know, I think that would undeniably put me in a position, put me next in line for a title shot. So since don't nobody want to fight me now, I'm sure they want to fight me with a belt wrapped around my waist.
Mm.
You know, everybody's chasing that gold belt and all that stuff. That's what they concern themselves with. But I'm a fighter, man. I love to fight. You know, the belt and the paychecks and all this stuff is just it's just consequential. Is that the word? Coincidental.
Okay.
So you know, I love to fight. You know, I love the fact that I get paid. You know what I'm saying? I would even love it more if I got paid a whole lot more. But you know, maybe I'll get a belt and then people will want to fight me more. So again, I'm not trying to pull anybody's card or say anybody feels any certain way about fighting me or anything like that, you know. But because I know these guys are all killers, you know what I'm saying. I'm sure they're ready to throw down in a moment's notice. But I'm trying to throw down now. You know what I'm saying. We just missed the opportunity to headline a card, and 4 people said no to that one. You know, to headline the card. You know, that puts you in place to get big bucks right there. You do good headline on the card, then at least for me, that'll put me in a better place financially.
Was that the San Antonio card?
That was the San Antonio card.
So you had an offer, you had an opportunity to fight on that card. The UFC was searching for a main event. The clock was ticking. In the end, they went with Leon Edwards versus RDA, but it certainly wasn't their first choice, to the best of my knowledge. And to the best of your knowledge, how many people said no to fighting you?
4 people
4.
I'm aware of.
Would you like to share these names with us?
Why
are you protecting them, Jared? Don't be such a mensch. Let the world know.
I'm not protecting anybody. It's just a part of my character to not, you know, speak that sort of business out in the public eye. You know what I'm saying? I don't need anybody else giving their opinions on what goes on between me, someone else, and the matchmaker. I don't care about other people's opinions, and I'm not here to incite other people's opinions. With that being said, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about anybody's opinion. And I'm not gonna make any excuses for these people. So two people I won't name, but two people who are in the division, who are currently in the division, I will name, and that was Jacare and Jacker Manson is the names that they brought to me. And, whatever the reasons are, whatever they are, whether they're ready, whether they're injured, whether they want to fight someone who's not ranked number 10, somebody with whom, whatever the reasons are, it doesn't matter. I wish they would have taken the fights. Those would have been really good fights for me, and for them. You know what I'm saying? But just good fights all around. Any fight anytime I step in the octagon is gonna create, some footage that the UFC is gonna be happy with. So if you want to be a part of that I'm not gonna say highlight reel, but if you want to be a part of that, you know what I'm saying, you want to be in exciting fights, so the UFC will keep putting you in fights. And I'm the one you need to talk to. It's always gonna be exciting when I step in there.
Were you given reasons as to why they said no?
No.
Okay.
No.
And
to be honest, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't care why they say no or why. I just want you to say yes.
And so, if you had it your way, right now, what interests you most is Kelvin Gastelum in September. Is that accurate?
I mean, that's the closest one we can get on.
Okay.
And strategically, tactically, it's a good fight for me. It's in elevation, and it'll be my first experience with elevation. But it's a mountain that I know I can climb and conquer. So my cardio has always been good throughout my whole career, even as a heavyweight. So you can only imagine what it is now. My cuts are not. I don't drain my energy to cut weight. My cuts are easy. Not to say that they're easy, but my cuts are I have good weight cuts. I haven't had a bad weight cut. So I'm ready for that fight. So I'm ready right now. I'm ready July 20th. But I can be ready in Mexico City, September, whenever. And if that's what he wants, he wants to get a fight on that card, send me a contract and I'll sign it.
Have you been offered Kelvin Gastelum?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So that's just something that you kind of heard was out there and wanted to throw your hat into that ring.
Yeah, I guess you can say it's my first official call out.
Oh, well done. Congratulations.
Everybody keeps asking me, who do you want to call out next? Who do you want to
It's
call
a big
out
deal.
I hereby challenge you, Kelvin Gastelum.
I like it. It's a big deal. This is part of the game. I think it's great that you're doing that. And I can understand why some people would not want to fight you. You've looked very good in your first two fights at middleweight, and maybe they feel like you don't have the big name. What are you even, like, I don't look at the rankings. What are you ranked?
Number 10.
Number 10 should be higher, beating Anderson Silva, beating David Branch. But anyway, not very important if we're being honest. I'm curious now. All right, so we have this situation where you're looking for a fight. You can't get a fight. At some point, someone's going to have to, step up and fight you. Branch, Anderson, like in your mind, how many more until you're in that discussion? You know the discussion I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't think at this point in time it doesn't matter who you fight. I think it's how you fight.
Okay.
And I think that, and I truly believe that says more about if you're ready for a title shot or not. And mentally, I'm ready, man. I'm ready mentally, for sure. I'm for sure ready mentally. Give me a couple of weeks, and I'll be ready physically. Working with the guys at the lab, doing the things we do, preparing for the fight. You know what I'm saying? Having the fight camp and all that stuff. I'll be physically ready. I'll be more than physically ready. And at that time, I'll be more than mentally ready because I would have employed my tools that I'm going to use in a fight. And like I keep saying, you know what I'm saying, the more time we wait, the better I'm going to get. So I don't necessarily have fight camp. I just train my ass off all the time. You know, so I'm here to learn. I love the sport. I love training. I love learning. I love trying to be trying to be a better version of myself than I was, you know, the day before. So, so whoever's in front of me doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? My biggest challenge is myself and doing what I got to do to be better than myself. So, and I'm always getting better. So the challenge persists.
Well, things are opening up at 205. We had Luke Rockhold leave recently. Chris Weidman announced recently that he's moving up from 185 to 205. So, sorry, I meant to say things are opening up at 185 because guys are going to 205. So it seems like there's a path there. You just need to get someone to actually fight you, which is a situation that I know a lot of fighters in your case have a little trouble with, because guys are always wanting to fight the guy who's above them, and that's one of the tricky things with the rankings. But sign me up for you versus Kelvin Gastelum. I'm down for that. I appreciate you doing the call out, my man. I know you don't do that often. I appreciate you coming on and clearing up the air, and I'm sorry that the opportunity on July 20th didn't work out. Thank you for doing this, Jared, and keep us posted on where things stand if you can.
I will, man. Thank you for having me on yet again. I always appreciate the opportunity to get on here and, something a little different. It's not post-fight or pre-fight. This is more business-related, so this is pretty cool. I appreciate it.
I like the business side of things. Thank you for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right, there he is, Jared Cannoneer, looking for a fight against Kelvin Gastelum. And it's interesting because Jack Hermansson, I know, wants to fight on that Copenhagen card, and I know he's talked about Kelvin Gastelum. I feel like a lot of people are going to be trying to pick off Kelvin, but I can understand. I mean, it's a tough one. It really is. Jack Wright coming off a loss, so it might be a bit of a quick turnaround. Hermansson maybe wanting to wait till the Copenhagen card. Gastelum maybe not 100%, so a tough spot. They were looking for a main event for that July 20th card. I reported that one of the options was Valentina Shevchenko against Liz Carmouche, which would be a rematch of a fight that happened back in 2010. In the end, they ended up going with RDA versus Leon Edwards, which, typically when they put together these fights on short notice, typically, you get a fight that doesn't really make a lot of sense, that kind of comes out of nowhere. In this case, it's the fight that Leon wanted, and it's a fight that really makes a lot of sense. RDA, Leon Edwards, is a fight that makes perfect sense at 170. They're both in the same spot. I mean, you can make a case that Leon is actually above him, but he needs that big name. He's having trouble finding someone to fight him, and some way, somehow, they pulled a rabbit out of their hat on that one. So kudos to the matchmakers for that, and now San Antonio has its main event on July 20th. So we'll see what happens with Jared Cannoneer. So that was our last interview of the day. I just wanted to say one thing before I go. And it's pertaining to Friday, and it's pertaining to Chael Sonnen, who, of course, is my partner here on ESPN Plus, Ariel and the Bad Guy. We do the show. We've been doing the show for a year, and so it was kind of, I don't even know what the word is to describe it. It was emotional to see him retire. I kind of had a feeling that he was going to walk away if he didn't win. That was the last fight on his Bellator contract. And I know he's 42, and we sort of talked about the end and the promise that he made to his dad. I believe that he fulfilled that promise. I consider him a former WEC light heavyweight champion. I know Palofilio missed weight when they fought at, I think, WEC 36 back in the day, but I've always thought that thing is weird. That rule is weird. If the champion misses weight, why can't the guy who actually did his job and made the weight, why can't he fight for the belt? Semantics, I know, but in my opinion, he's a former WEC light heavyweight champion and not light heavyweight, middleweight champion, I should say. And I know he feels like he never got that belt. He never got that moment with the belt wrapped around his waist. But, I love the fact that Palofilio gave him the title and sort of honored his end of the deal. And I think it's great that, he did that. And I hope that Chael doesn't feel like he didn't hold up his end of the deal, because he's had a phenomenal career. He has made an impact on the sport. And I know his legacy is complicated, and you cannot talk about his legacy without talking about the drug test failures. And guess what? He'd be the first one to talk about them. He always did it in the most honest way possible. And I actually thought it was fitting that TJ Dillashaw's first interview on Friday was with Chael, because he tested positive for EPO and Chael tested positive for EPO. And I think TJ is actually handling this very trying time in the most honorable way possible. And I know that's kind of funny because we're talking about something that isn't very honorable. You know, when you're caught cheating, it's not a great time. It's a black mark on your career, but I think he's owning up to it. And Chael always owned up to it. And so that is part of the legacy. That is part of the story. But if you're just focusing on that, I think you're missing the entire story. I remember talking to Chael on this show, and I know it was a different iteration of the show, but UFC 104, right before he fought Yushin Okami, he came on the show. We were doing it from AOL, and he was talking about how he was frustrated, how Okami wasn't holding up his end of the bargain, how he has to promote this fight on his own. And at the time, the prelims were not even televised. There was 1 hour prelim on Spike and then 5 fights on pay-per-view. He was on the untelevised prelims, UFC 104 at Staples Center. And I believe at the time, Yushin Okami was the number 2 ranked middleweight in the world. That's how little interest there was in this fight. And Chael came out of I didn't expect any of that from him. I didn't expect to come out. And that's when I believe Chael P. Sonnen was born. And I told him this, and I've said this many times. I think even the other time, the second to last time he was in studio, and he's never refuted it. So I'm going to carry that one on my own. I'm gonna hold that up like it's my own victory. And once he did that, once he had that revelation that, hey, if I talk a little bit, I get some attention, good things are going to happen to me. Because at the time, he was in the sport for 8-9 years. Beats Okami, and I'll never forget, he goes into Las Vegas, UFC 109. Everyone thought Nate Marquardt was going to beat him, and he went in there like a Tasmanian devil. His interviews prior to that fight were amazing, and then he beat Nate Marquardt. And then I did that post-fight interview with him, and he's bleeding in the interview, and he talked about how when he goes into the locker room, he tells Anderson Silva what song that he wants played. Now he's the boss. He's the new sheriff in town. And it was amazing to see this man just transform in front of our eyes. And then he does the Q&A at the WC event, and he denies that his controversial Twitter account was his own. And this was all just brand new, fresh, entertaining stuff. And he was the first guy to poke Anderson Silva. He was the first guy to actually look at him and point his finger in his chest and say, no, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not intimidated by you. And of course, we remember UFC 117. And I've said numerous times that his performance in the pre-fight press conference was one of the finest pieces of pre-fight promotional theater that I've ever seen. If you have never seen that press conference with him sitting there next to Thiago Alves and the stuff that he was saying and how he had the entire room laughing and the entire room eating out of his hand, do yourself a favor after this and go watch it. And of course, we know how that fight ended up. It was heartbreaking to watch. He was 3 minutes away from beating Anderson Silva. And then we know what happened afterwards with the suspension, with the time off. And I remember talking to him in Las Vegas almost a year later in that black and white interview where I said, it's good to see you, Chael. And he said, it's good to be seen. And he talked about feeding the bus a carrot, the Nogueira brothers doing that. And he talked about the pride fights being fixed and all the great stuff about, his future opponents. He was planting seeds all over the place. Vanderlei Silva and Vitor Belfort, all those guys. We had never seen anything like this before. And so, and he always backed it up, and he always fought the tough guys, and he never said no, to a fight. And he always came so close. And I remember him talking about getting the silver medal and always, being the bridesmaid. But in my opinion, if you're going to focus on that, if you're just going to focus on the steroid stuff, you're missing the entire picture of what this man did. He brought MMA to a different level. He brought it to a new height. He brought it in front of the masses. He did a great job of carrying the sports flag at ESPN long before I came. He was the only one, essentially. It was him. It was a little bit of Gilbert Melendez. There was a period there post MMA Live where it was just the Chael Sonnen show. They called upon him to do a 2-minute hit, and he was carrying that flag. And so I think we owe a lot to Chael. And I'm not trying to brush aside the controversial stuff. He has had controversial stuff happen in his career, his own doing. But I think it's also proper to honor that guy and to give him the credit and the respect that he deserves, because he's one of the important figures in this sport. And now he can focus on life after fighting. Now he can focus on the broadcasting, which he's one of the best, if not the best, at doing. Analysis, opinions, breakdowns, things like that. And here we are just 3 days away from the 1-year anniversary of the first episode of Ariel and the Bad Guy, which a lot of people who work on this show work on that show as well. And what a ride it's been. It started off maybe a little rocky at first, but I look forward to doing that show with him every Wednesday. And I truly miss him when he's not at the fights. When I'm there, he's not there. Maybe we won't have that as much these days because, he's no longer in fight camps anymore. That's usually when he missed them. And it just feels a whole lot more comfortable. It feels a lot more fuller with him around. He's a great partner. He's a great friend. He's a very loyal friend. And he's often had my back. And I'd like to think I've had his as well. And so I was happy that I got to be there. I don't get to go to a lot of Bellator shows, but I was happy I was able to be there. I was happy his family was there. His kids were there. His wife was there. His mom was there. It was a great scene despite the loss. He got to go out on his own terms. He got to put the gloves down. He got to walk away. He got to say goodbye. And then we'll see him on Saturday on the Bellator broadcast, and I believe next week on the show because he's taking this week off, and rightfully so. So thank you very much for all the great memories, Chael. Thanks for all the great interviews. I'm glad we'll be able to keep on talking, but this certainly is the end of a chapter, and in my opinion, the end of one of the great chapters in mixed martial arts history. All right, with that, we are out of time. Thank you very much to all our guests today. It has been a fun day. I started today at, I left my house at 6 a.m. to come and do the parade show, and now I'm seeing like horrible news that there was shots fired. I mean, what is this? This is not Canada. We cannot have this. I hope no one is seriously injured. But in any event, it has been a fun day. Fun to do that, and always fun to do this show, and especially fun when you have an in-studio guest like the great John Kavanagh. All right, and by the way, coming up later, I'll have my mentions of the week. I'm doing this new thing on Instagram, on my Instagram, so check that out. I always enjoy doing that. It's always fun to spotlight the good people in the sport. That will be up later on today. For now, though, we shall say goodbye. Thank you very much to John Kavanagh for joining us in studio. It was great to have him. Congrats on everything that he is doing. Thank you very much to Dustin Poirier. Good luck to him in his training camp. Thank you very much to Dillon Danis. Congratulations to him on the big win. Thank you very much to Justin Willis. Good luck to him. Curious to see how that one plays out. All the best to Macy Chiasson. I hope that everything works out and that she can get back on track. Horrific turn of events, but I really appreciate her coming on. All the best to Paige Vanzant as well. Thank you very much to Elias Theodorou. Good luck tomorrow to Brendan Loughnane, and thank you very much to Jared Cannoneer. If you missed anything, check it out. YouTube, iTunes, Twitter, all those places and more. Back next week, same time, place, tell the same. Peace. I'm out of here.